On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt and Nick will take their final dive into the Mando Pole's deep end as they dissect the Season 3 finale and where this story may go next. They may even get to last week's planned Bad Batch Season 2 Punch-Out segment and a talk on Boba Fett trolling Star Wars fans, if time permits. Of course, the show will end with the Question of the Week responses and the latest round of Top 5 Star Wars featured artists. Punch it, Chewie. Hey now, everybody! Holy hell, I forgot Nick's not even in here. It's all right. He's here. You can hear him, right? We can hear him, maybe. No, this is because of my testing last week, Nick. I forgot I left my... There he is. He's here to play. No, I was telling Nick last week, I'm a weirdo, okay, people? I got problems. I know in the end, as long as you guys can hear us for the most part, you're going to be somewhat happy, but I'm still a perfectionist. Even for a low-class podcast like this, I didn't like the fact that we were jittery and really stuttering last week, so I spent time troubleshooting, looking for ways to make the cast a bit more smooth, and really when it came down to it, I was like, hey, dickhead, you're trying to run 2023 software on a 2017 iMac. Like, enough's enough. There's not a number of software tweaks you can make that are going to make this pig run this software any better. So I got to do something. I got to figure something out. I got to drop some more cash. But as I was telling young Nick here, over this past weekend, we've opened up many household projects at House Haywood. That includes a new deck. It includes putting a new drainage ditch in the basement, my sanctuary. I mean, you can't see it the way my camera's positioned, but my basement is exploded. All my Barbies had to be taken down. They're in plastic totes, smashing themselves from their own weight. All my, 112 figures are down. But then, as Nick said, once you start one thing, other things pick up. My wife's like, hey, the basement's already all fucked up. Let's install a hardwood floor. And I'm going, oh, okay, yeah, sweet. We still got that deck to finish that I just demoed for you. So what other projects can we open up? How much cash do we have? Will Matt have enough to improve his system over the summer? Hopefully, that's why we use 24% no APR at Best Buy on all big tech purchases, right, Nick? Are you a no APR type of guy, or you just pay straight cash?
Straight cash, homie.
All right.
Yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I guess like the only thing that we really did with the 0% APR was the couch that we currently have.
Right.
But we also we paid that one off pretty quickly. And yeah, man, I mean, like, cause I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where like I pay my credit card off in full every month.
Yeah.
Like I like have enough cash on hand to where it's like, I know how much I can put on my credit card. And I also know that I can pay it all off. So usually I don't have to do the 0% APR stuff, right, financing through like the stores themselves. You're also
a dink. I mean, this guy is living the good life in his mid 30s, dual income, no kids. I remember, I mean, that ended for me at 36. I know you're getting close. You're getting close, pal.
I would say I'm turning 35 in August. And I mean, who knows what the future may hold? But I mean, one day I could be in a similar situation to Mr. Haywood.
All right. No, hey, dude, your philosophy on credit cards, same with me. I mean, I actually have fantastic credit. I've had my Discover since I was 18. I've never gone overboard, never carried a big balance for too long. And that's why these projects, even though I called up Discover, I'm like, hey, listen, help me out. Long-time user, how about 0% for a year or so? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So Nick, that's where all the construction stuff is going. So, like you said, where, I don't know for you, but for me, when I see credit card debt I get itchy. You know what I mean? It's
Can't
like,
do it.
even though I know I have the money, it's just I still get itchy. So yeah, you can relate with me right now. Every time I open Discover and see that 5 figures, I'm like, we're gonna die. I'm gonna be in debtor's prison. It's like, I know I can pay it down, but just seeing that fucking number there is eating me alive. I can deal with mortgages and car payments, but for some reason, credit card debt makes me want to throw up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm the same way. And I'm glad that I am in a position to where I can do that for sure. Because for a while, when I first moved to Austin, minimum payments, baby, minimum payments.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because I remember. I mean, I remember why you ended up there. We won't go into it, but let's just say Nick ended up in Austin for love, and shit spoiled quickly. So he had to pivot.
The wrong places.
Yeah, he had to pivot quick and figure out his new life.
You know what?
It turned out.
I made it work.
Yeah, it turned out, right? Did you meet Taylor in Texas, or was she from the Bayou?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we worked together.
Right.
We worked together. Right. That was how we first met.
There you go. See, it all worked out. Now this motherfucker's like a realtor mogul in Austin, building new houses, selling them years later to move into even bigger new homes. So kudos to Nick.
Real estate market, baby.
Woo,
even in the bad times, it can still be
work
good.
from home, making cash. You can't beat it. All right, my man. We got all sorts of no, that's a lie. I'm trying to pretend that the 3.5 months we just had of new Star Wars isn't over, because it's been a treat for people like Nick and I, you know, especially me, someone that can't detach himself from Star Wars for more than a few minutes. But if you think about it, Nick, I mean, really, since we started SWTS, that was the longest chunk of time we've had doing a show where we had just new content to talk about every week. It's like I almost got used to it. And now that the reality has hit that, hey, it's over until August, I'm starting to go, how the fuck did Nick and I used to produce a show every week? When there was when it was just like random nonsense, like casting news, and we did it, and we'll keep doing it. It's just like, I can't even think back to those days when we didn't have, I mean, really, Andor led us all the way into the holidays. We got through the holidays with some happy-go-lucky shit, and then we were right in the Bad Batch in the new year. So I'm going to have to put on my thinking cap, my ultra fanboy cap, to start figuring out some show segments coming up over the summer. But we'll do it. Maybe we'll take some time off. It sounds like we're at least going to miss a week coming up in June because we'll both be out. But we're here today. We're not officially putting the Mandalorian Season 3 to bed. Maybe we'll do that next week with kind of a retrospective. But we are here to give you our final thoughts on the finale, S3E8. What was it called? The Return. So we got some of that to talk about, as well as I want to address real briefly the whole. If you're out there, if you're in the fandom, I'm sure you've seen various spins on Tamara Morrison's latest comments on Mandalorian, Book of Boba. I just want to talk about that and kind of alleviate some of your insanity and just point out how shitty other bigger Star Wars channels are for just lacking media literacy or knowing they're being shitheads just to get an audience, which I kind of think that's what's really happening. But yeah, there you go. Bat's right, Nick. We got Visions coming up next week, right? May the 4th is next week, is it not? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Thursday.
So shit. Yeah, I mean that's next week. We won't do anything because it's on a Thursday, so don't fucking expect anything special.
We'll talk about it on
Tuesday, the following
9th.
Yeah, the following week.
on the 9th. So.
But yeah, we'll definitely. I forgot about that. Good point there, Bat. I am excited for Visions. Everything I've seen for it just looks top notch. We're gonna get a Wedge specific episode, which is gonna be pretty rad. And then the Jedi Adventures. Even though it's meant for kids, you know, I'll be watching that too. So I guess I should quit bitching and moaning. We're gonna have a few more shows of fresh content, and then we're gonna really have to start picking shit out of our asses over the summer. But we'll figure it out. May get back to the interviews. You know, we've had some offers that I've turned down because of we're in season Star Wars, but now we might be taking those those bids and getting some people on the show. We know Props and them, they've got a bit of a stable, so hopefully we can tap into that. Maybe get the armor right here on the SWTS. So that's kind of what we're thinking about for the summer. And then, hey, we still got the D&D thing to kick the tires on. I've put out some dates, but everyone has gone silent on that. So
yeah, I gotta figure out my schedule because there's a lot going on for me in the next 3 weeks. I got closing on this house, moving, closing on the new house, moving in, all that stuff. So yeah, it's my aim is we might be able to do like, oh man, maybe like mid May.
Yeah, we're trying to, because you and I we had a window. It's like May 3 to 18. So that's the goal. We'd like to get one the D&D episode. It would be like episode 1 kicked off during one of those weeks, but because we switched the time for the stream, which, by the way, if you want to join with the stream, don't forget 5 p now East, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. We've lost, Trevor, because he does a toy show at 6, so we just haven't been in contact, and I've been sending up the smoke signals in Discord, but I don't think those two are as into Discord as I've become thanks to our own little community, which is open, and my obsession with Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. But we'll figure it out. And yeah, Bat's not wrong. I mean, I'm sure we'll get another Ahsoka tease to break down and fun stuff like that. But it is, hey, we're getting back to the basics. If you just joined SWTS this season during Bad Batch or the Mando, hey, you're about to be treated to how we used to roll, because we believe in our motto. There is always time for Star Wars time, and we make that happen every week, regardless if nothing is actually happening. All right, dude. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to get right into the Tem thing because it's quick and dirty. We can just get that out of the way, and then we'll have plenty of time for the finale, because I know that's what everyone wants to hear. But we did get this posted in our Discord, so I do want to talk about it. I don't like to disappoint, but real quick, here's the setup. This article, our boy Tones sent us to our Discord, and Tamir Morrison was at the Supernova Comic-Con and Gaming Convention in Melbourne, Australia. There's some Q&A panel, and he was asked about, hey, man, are you going to have a cameo, or were you supposed to have a cameo in Mando Season 3? And he dropped some lines that if you just read the lines without any context, as most humans do these days, you could draw a conclusion that Tamir Morrison is quite upset with Disney and is shooting, bombs towards the mouse. All right. But if you just, exercise a little media literacy. I know we've been trying to teach you all about this, just about Star Wars stuff. I mean, you should have media literacy about other shit that's important to life, like politics and science. But when it comes to Star Wars, same thing. Let's just fucking slow down, find a source for yourself, and read versus headline rage. I mean, the story I'm about to talk about right now, Star Wars Theory, I saw today, did a live stream titled, I Stand with Tamir Morrison. Okay? Like, hello, drama? I'm pretty sure he hated the Book of Boba Fett, but who cares? So here we go. Here's why everyone's upset. So if you read the titles on the internet, Nick, they were all Tamir Morrison talk shit about the Mandalorian. Tamir Morrison blamed Din Djarin for the Book of Boba Fett's failures. Blah, blah, blah. Like all these generalizations and fake conclusions were made by people posting. And here's what he said. And if you read it with context, the dude was just taking a piss. He's Tamir Morrison. Have you ever heard him in interviews? He's always fucking just saying random shit and playing around. I mean, he's like one of the guys. You know how guys a lot of times when they're in groups, they kind of fuck with each other. All right, so here's what he had to say, and you all tell me, or at least the two of you here. Hey, Sir Dork showed up. What's up, Jared? You guys tell me. So here we go. First and foremost, the actor gave an entertaining response on stage when asked about The Mandalorian Season 3. Okay? I was supposed to be in The Mandalorian Season 3, but nobody rang me. I was waiting for the phone call New Zealand, waiting and wanting to give up. Okay? Again, entertaining reply. The author is setting the tone that this quote came from. He was fucking around. All right, here's the next one that really got people upset. Okay. Again, here's the author. He jokingly commented. Okay, I know those are big words. He jokingly commented. That means when he commented, he was fucking around, just in case. All right. On how Din Djarin took over a show, expressing a similar sentiment fans had when they blamed the Book of Boba Fett for Season 3's mediocre reception. Some fans, in quotes. All right, here we go. Well, that Mando guy stole a few chapters of my book. It was painful watching him turn up with some black new lethal sword. And the way he turned up in my Book of Boba, he just destroyed everybody. I'm sure this guy is, ruining my show, but I couldn't say anything. I'm not the writer, so I have to bear it, I guess. Okay? It's like, jokingly commented. Can we just put this to bed? This is a no-nothing. This is the shit. This is why we're not popular, okay? Because we don't jump on stuff like this in virtue signal or buy into the grievance culture that some Star Wars fans do, okay? He was fucking around. Did we think Boba could show up? Sure, why not? Him not showing up, was it a big deal? Not at all. It would have made zero narrative sense for Boba Fett to show up in The Mandalorian Season 3 the way it finished and the way it fully played out, right, Nick? It would have made no sense.
Yeah, I mean, you would have really had to like force Boba Fett to be in there. I mean, we saw one interaction between him and the Night Owls previously, and he like openly stated, he's like, I'm not like a Mandalorian. Like, I don't follow their ways and stuff like that. Like, he's his own person. And so it would have been kind of weird.
He also reiterated it in his series to Din, when Din's like, hey, I fucked up. I'm excommunicated. I got to go back to Mandalore and do the thing. And Boba's like, fuck you, man. You guys are crazy. That's essentially what he says. He's like, yeah, I don't buy into that stupid shit. Fuck you. I'm Boba Fett. I'm the daimyo. So Boba Fett has no draws to Mandalore. He didn't give a fuck. He's a fucking clone of a foundling Mandalorian. All right. So, hey. Did we even, I think we even, probably last week, were like, hey, Boba Fett, maybe he'll show up. And I'm like, I think I even caught ourselves like, whoa, yeah, that'd be a nice fan speculative moment, but why? Why would he show up? What's his fucking draw to be there unless, Grogu hit a button and was like, bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense for him to be in there. And it's like, I don't know. People just like people like Star Wars Theory just kind of like make their name off of like generating outrage for content views, which is fine. I mean, there's a lot of people on the internet who do that. But like, it's purely bullshit though. Like, I don't think that people realize that it's like purely bullshit.
I mean, look, like I said, and I'm going to give kudos to Tones because he put it in our Discord and he's like, I think people are like really trying to make false assumptions about this. Like, if you really read the report, you can tell he's just fucking around. But dude, on Reddit, I mean, it had like almost 400 or 500 comments. People like, yeah, see, fucking shit, blah. And these, like we said offline, these would have been the same people pulling their pants down and teabagging the Book of Boba Fett this time last year. Like literally shitting on Boba Fett's face. It's just like, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's exactly what it is, Nova. It's Tem playing with the crowd. He likes to fuck with people. He's trolling. He's not as a big troll as Brendan Wayne, who we'll talk about. Fuck that guy. But, I mean, yeah, he's just fucking around. So everyone calm down. It's okay. It was never, it was never made clear if Book of Boba Fett was going to extend beyond a season. The Book of Boba Fett was always positioned by the creators as the third chapter of the Mandalorian story. It's all right. It's okay. All right. We good? Thanks. All right. We got a comment stuck on the screen. That's pretty awesome. There we go. Hey, there we go. Yes, it's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. There we go. Bad. I'll put you up there. Let's blame her. But yeah, sure, it is. Okay. Everything's her fault. Why not? All right, so that's that, my friends. Chew on it for what you will. Go read the article. I mean, it was from MSN, so it's not like some happy horse shit. It's like Microsoft doing a report on it. It's not just some dickhead named Matt in his basement. All right. We good? All right. Let's do this, Nick. Let's get into the finale. And this one's been unique. I mean, this is the first time in a long time that Nick watched it on the day. So he and I actually got to exchange a few thoughts before today. So, we're breaking ground over here. But anyways, go ahead. I'll let you start because I actually watched it a second time Wednesday night, and I came away a bit less, not upset, but a bit like, oh, you know what? That was kind of fucking fun. But so go ahead.
Yeah. My thoughts on it, very straightforward finale. I feel like, especially in this instance, we probably took ourselves on way too many like possible tangents and like
we went fan speculation nuts. I'm blaming myself for some of my own disappointment, but that's because I'm enlightened. Most people can't do that.
Yeah, it was a very straightforward episode. It was a fight against Moff Gideon's forces to essentially take back the section of Mandalore that had been under his control, where he was doing a lot of his cloning work, and boom, bang, bing. That was it. You had a fight against good guys versus bad guys, and the good guys won. And, we got some resolution on the leadership of Mandalore thing, with Bo-Katan. We got some potential closure to the Darksaber stuff now that it's been broken.
Did you pop a boner when that happened? Were you like,
I was happy to see something like that. I was, because, who knows? Maybe they'll bring it back. It's very possible. Lightsabers get repaired all the time. Lightsabers get replaced all the time. Yep. But I was happy to see that, because like I've been saying for the last few weeks, the Darksaber is just like a burden on this entire society. And it was one of the reasons why you had division amongst the society for decades. So happy to see that moment. But yeah, overall, I wasn't blown away by it. I thought that they played the finale pretty safe. I thought that there were there's still some question marks around certain things. But hey, that's why the series continues. It's not a series finale, it's a season finale. There were cool moments, cool fights, but overall, it was good. It wasn't anything special to me. And it puts us in an interesting position to what season 4 of The Mandalorian may look like. Given what we've heard from people like Rick Famuyiwa, who says Din Djarin is no longer the titular character of The Mandalorian. Does that mean that the show focus switches in season 4? Does Grogu do Grogu and Din now move into a role in the Rangers of the New Republic series potentially, given that they're now have this homestead on Navarro, and what Din says is he wants to kind of get back to his life now that everything on Mandalore is settled.
Yeah, now that you bring that up, that was one of my notes. Do we think that I don't know how to phrase this the right way without going down a rabbit hole. But Nick, do you think season 3 wrapped in a way to account for some of those Rangers of the New Republic stories?
I think it does. A lot of the stuff that we were, our episode last week was just a series of speculative misses. Much as I like to tout our wins, we fucking bombed the shit out of the finale. I think
it was a complete fucking miss.
To a degree, I feel like we really got hard baited by 100%. Brendan Wayne.
Yeah, he gets most of the blame.
We put a lot of stock in his Instagram post that was like, "Oh, after you see this, you're gonna be hurt," and we're like, "Somebody's dead. Somebody's gotta die. Somebody's gotta die." And we watched this episode, and literally nobody even came close to dying.
What? What are we going to be hurt about, Brendan? You dickhead! Honestly, what the fuck was he talking about?
Yeah, it's I don't know, unless he's hurt by the fact that the Darksaber got broken. But I think it does. Din is now he has extricated himself from the Mandalore stuff. Yeah. He's okay, I helped you guys out. I don't want to be a leader. This is your society that you want to rebuild.
He's more concerned about Grogu, period.
Yeah, he has now officially adopted Grogu as his son, and they're going to go on and have their own adventures. I do feel like what the ending for Grogu and Din does is allows them to essentially be players in every Mandoverse show now. I mean, they already were, but now they are set up specifically to be like, hey, Rangers of the New Republic, you're going to be in that. Ahsoka, you're going to be in that. Mandalorian season 4, you're going to be in that. Whatever shows are floating around this Mandoverse, they can be a part of, because they are essentially factionless and just out there to help people in the galaxy, from what it seems. So I do think that it gives them an entry point into Rangers of the New Republic.
We're not saying that that's not going to be a series, but I do think the Mandalorian season 4, a lot of what we see Din and Grogu doing will be Rangers of the New Republic content, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely think that's
and you gotta wonder, and this is where I didn't want to go, but you gotta wonder if the Carano firing did ultimately affect the story of season 3 and 4.
I mean, it does, but also she's a B character with a B thread that I don't think that Gina Carano's character would have even been involved in what we saw in the finale. I don't think she would have been called in.
Correct.
I think it would, because she would have been in a position similar to Carson Teva and all. She would have
been hanging out in Navarro marshalling.
Yeah. So if anything, the difference would have been oh, well, you didn't have to rebuild IG-11 to be the Marshal of Navarro, because she was already the Marshal of Navarro, and you would have had another member already kind of decided for the Rangers of the New Republic stuff. So I really don't maybe she would have worked her way into the season arc a little bit more, but none of the potential Rangers of the New Republic group were really involved in this season. I mean, they weren't even involved in helping, they were barely involved in helping Navarro break the pirate siege.
Yeah, not at all. They just went and asked some questions, really. So
he just asked.
I do. I think what Kathy or Kathleen said is what has become the reality, that Rangers is no longer a series, but you are going to see narratives pop up in the existing shows. And I do think we got some of that in season 3, especially at the end. I mean, the Tiva stuff, Adelphi Squadron, and then obviously Din and Grogu at the end. I think that's definitely kind of paying off on what she said in terms of where that content would live.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, my overall thoughts, I definitely got baited by the Brendan Wayne thing, which forced me to
goodness.
I kind of went into that episode, and the whole time I'm watching it, I'm waiting for that moment, which obviously affects the way that you watch something, which is why I hate leaks and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it was good for what it was. I thought that there could have been a couple more or any sort of revelations or something that may have hinted more towards what we could see in Mandalorian season 4. I think they did. I think they didn't do a great job of giving you a directional feel as to what could be happening in season 4 of The Mandalorian. But,
well, I think what it did, you're right. I mean, I feel like season 3 of The Mandalorian probably did more setup for Ahsoka's large plot with the New Republic and Thrawn than it did for its next season, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, dude, season 3 ends. I guess I still have to go, but the way season 3 ends, it's clean as fuck. I mean, that was one of my complaints.
Yeah.
It was so damn clean. You could consider it a series finale. Everything that was started in season 1 and 2 is wrapped. It's fucking wrapped.
Yeah.
Darksaber wrapped. Din Grogu wrapped. Mandalorians retaking Mandalore wrapped. Din regaining his status within the cult wrapped. It's over. So it did end very nicely. So
yeah, no, it was all wrapped up, and maybe that was their plan. Maybe Mando season 4 is starting and I think it is, and I think that's what Rick and others were hinting at, is that like Mando season 4 is kind of starting a new chapter of the Mandalorian. That's
clear now
saga.
than it was at the start of the season when we were reading that shit. I mean, that's 100% correct, because it is. They cleared the table, which might not have been exciting for the finale, but I do like that we're kind of blank slating for season 4. And obviously elements from Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka will affect season 4 or some of the tentpole narratives in season 4. But I do kind of like that things have been reset. The bullshit's out of the way. It's back to the Din and Din Grogu show with friends. It's not just the laser focus retake Mandalore plot that season 3 was.
Yeah, and obviously there's still questions out there. I mean, there's still speculation that the armor could be a spy. I mean, I definitely agree that there's more to be explored there.
Yeah, we still need to figure out who the fuck she is, if anything. Like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know anything. Like, that was one thing that I really would have liked at the end of this, to like just give like a tiny bit of context in the season 4, was like an armor reveal, whether it be spy or not spy, or who she could be. Something like that I think would have been interesting, but they played it safe. But yeah, I mean, like they really, it seemed like they really didn't want to like give any sort of hints as to what could be out there. That really it's just like the only open plot threads that are hanging are Kane, and
I've got thoughts on Gideon that we're going to get into too, because
I mean, Gideon's definitely still got a clone out there.
I think that was a clone.
Oh, you think that
well, I mean, if you look at his appearance, and I don't know if we talked about this, but when I saw him in episode 7, I'm like, shit, Gideon's looking fresh as fuck. I mean, yeah, he had the mustache shave, but he also had his hair combed forward, where other Gideon combs his hair back. He's got the stash. And if you look at the Gideon clones in episode 8, it was like a replica of the Gideon we were seeing, a slightly younger version than what we saw in season 1 and 2. So yeah, I don't think that was the end of Gideon. It was too convenient, too quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. He's
definitely still in there somewhere.
I guess we got a question for you here, Nick. They want to know, are you pissed that Grogu lost his means to communicate again, now that he no longer has yes and no?
I mean, I really do hope that they like progress that character a bit.
Hey man, he was fighting Praetorian guards by himself. Come on.
I mean, it was fun. Like, to me, he's still a gimmick. Yeah. Like, he's a gimmicky character. I just want him to become something.
I love him, man.
Like, I want him to become not like anytime he's on screen, it's just a cute moment. That's what I want from the character.
It's fair. It's fair. I'm not going to tear down your Grogu hate. I love the little guy.
But also, like, it is what it is. Like, he's just a money. Like, he is their cash cow. Like, he's their money maker. Because here's what'll happen. As soon as he starts like talking in full sentences and stuff, people are not going to be as interested in him, because they lose the infantilization angle on that character.
Goes away. Someone made a video where they're like, there's this guy in his backyard. He's got one of the Grogu dolls, and he's like behind the scenes of Grogu's puppeteers for the finale. He's just like fucking throwing them across the yard and whipping them up in the air, doing flips and whatnot. I love the motherfucker. But all right, so real quick, my take. I mean, I am always going to tell you, I think my truest opinion is what you're going to get on a Wednesday when I put out my review, because I'm coming fresh out of the screening. And my initial take was, I was underwhelmed by the finale. Underwhelmed. I never said it was bad or I hated it. It was horrible. It was a culmination of a shitty season. I was just underwhelmed. And I will admit again, because I am enlightened, woke, according to some people, I really thought that, shit, where was I going with that? I just read a comment and completely deleted my thought.
It is all of the thoughts.
Oh man, I hate myself.
Underwhelmed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was underwhelmed, but I do think, like Nick said, a lot of that emptiness I felt was my own fault. I am a Star Wars fan who can admit that when my speculations or my fan canon doesn't hit, that I'm not going to light the franchise on fire and stab my eyes out and blame everything on women, okay? I pumped up this finale in my own head with Nick on this show last week. But I do blame 90% of me kind of getting off course and getting into the weeds of speculation on the real Brendan Wayne. That guy fucking conned us all hard. Like reach around. No reach around type of conning. Like he was back there pounding away and didn't even give us the courtesy to reach forward, if you know what I'm talking about. He completely skewed my vision on what the finale was going to be, completely dictated my speculations, and therefore definitely added to those feelings of me feeling underwhelmed last Wednesday. What I will say is I did all my content. I hashed it out with the boys in Discord. Join if you want. And when I watched it with the family later at night, and yes, I had my nighttime medicinals. I don't think that was the reason I came away with my second viewing feeling more positive about it. A generally better take on the finale the second time I watched it. And yes, some of that's because I knew what to expect. I knew the rug was not going to be torn from under us. But I did just thoroughly enjoy my second screening. It was like, yeah, you know what? There were some goddamn fun moments in there. There's some plenty of eye candy. I even went through and I edited my top moments just to talk about today. It's like, you know what? I probably should have put on the fucking Din hallway fight. When I watched it a second time, I was like, damn, this is actually pretty fucking cool if you think about all the moving pieces that are happening here. And you get to see Lateef doing his like Brazilian roly-poly crazy jujitsu shit. The coordination with R5 fighting the super commandos, that was cool. And really another top moment that I left off the first time is the adoption of Grogu. I mean, that's a pretty poignant moment for the franchise. And one that hits a little bit if you don't hate the little guy. And you know, listen, I'm a dad of a little girl. It's changed me completely since I was 36 until now at almost 43. My brain works differently. I'm a even bigger softie than ever been. So whenever I'm watching stuff with a dad and his little cub, the shit works me over. But I really for a finale, and based on what we're used to in the season 1 and season 2 finales, it underwhelmed. It was too clean. Like, listen, I'm not talking. I wanted to see all the deaths that Brendan Wayne made us think that were going to happen. But I would have liked a little bit of hangover content to think about. Outside of Gideon clone theories and the incoming of Thrawn and knowing that the Shadow Council's out there. Like Nick said, it's like, all right, well, where are we at? Like, what do we got? And I think Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew are going to dictate that. But I would have liked a few nuggets at the end of The Mandalorian via a legit stinger, or just a bit more exposition on what was going on. That's the other thing, Nick. I really felt like the finale was rushed. And Katie's been out there talking like, she's like, listen, guys, the episodes are always longer than what you get. A lot of stuff hit the cutting room floor. Apparently, there was supposed to be a big speech from Bo in the finale that got cut. But for the first time this season was when I really felt like the runtime affected the pace of the finale and therefore the overall excellence that the finale could achieve. Because, I mean, Nick, there's one point they're like, all right, let's run and hide. Hey, we're in this cave with, shit's growing back. Okay, let's go fight again. I mean, it's literally, let's hide. Let's fight. Let's go. Ba-ba-ba-doo, ba-doo. There is zero room to breathe in the finale. Zero exposition took place. I mean, things went so fast, Nick. Bo and Din, the heroes of the season, didn't even have a fucking goodbye. Like, yeah. how do you leave that out? The two motherfuckers that led the charge to retake Mandalore, they don't have a, hey, see ya. Remember, I pledged my life to you, but I'm just going to end up on Navarro by the end of the season. Like, you could tell that they cut a lot of shit. I mean, Nick, it opens with them running in a hallway. So what scenes came before that? And that's what, in the end, even with a second viewing, I was like, it wasn't a bad finale at all. it was a good season in the end, a good season. I'd say as a whole, the season for me is probably 7.5, 8, getting closer to an 8. The finale, Nick and I were kicking around if we had to 7, 7.5. But it was just too damn clean. Like everything was perfect, and I'm just, I don't know. I guess maybe it's my pessimism, my inner darkness, the black hole that was where my soul should be. But sometimes I like when the good guys just don't have Miller time.
Well, like I think it's also because like it would be different if like we didn't know what was out there. Like if we didn't know that there was a lot of stuff that's going on in the universe that like is going to be coming soon. So like we have this like internal bias because we know like, well, yeah, this show wrapped up, but we also know in August that, in real world time, in 4 months, we're going to have the Ahsoka show where Thrawn is going to show up out of fucking nowhere. Like he is going to pop into the galaxy, and we have no pretense of how that's going to happen. So like, and we also know that, there's stuff going on with the Imperial Remnant. We know that there's stuff going on with the cloning facilities and what's happening with everything that's going on Exegol and all that other shit. We know that there's so much stuff happening, and for us to like see this end so cleanly, we're like, well, where's the Thrawn thing?
It just felt odd.
What about this? What about that? Like, so like, if we didn't have all that other information, I feel like this finale would have been like, boom, look at that. Good guys win, bad guys lose. Hey, what a good fucking time. But like, we also know that right around the fucking corner is going to be a galaxy disrupting type of event that happens. And we were all so convinced that like, we're going to get a Thrawn stinger. We got to get a Thrawn stinger. Like, and I even sat there. I was like, okay, the episode's over. The credits started rolling. Let me like fast forward through to see if there's something on here. And then by the time I got to the foreign credits where they're like,
you're fucked when you start getting to that shit.
I was like, okay, well, I guess there's nothing in here. But it's that internal bias of like, of a super fan like us knowing what's coming. Whereas like, if you're a casual fan that watches The Mandalorian, you have no fucking idea. You don't even like read the news or see the announcements of other shows. You're like, oh man, what a good way to wrap that up, Like, so we have the burden of being too big of fans.
We're carrying that fucking cross for y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, so Linda, I'm sorry. Linda here. Linda Matsumoto on the stream. I only listen to Star Wars time predictions. Well, we fucking failed you on the finale.
Yeah, we let you down.
We failed you, Anakin. We have failed you.
We took the bait hard.
Yeah, you can't punch our face too much. I mean, it's not like we were just pulling shit of our asses and making it up. We went off a main cast member saying you're all going to be like eating your tears on the finale. And, we took it and ran with it and definitely learned the hard way that's not going to happen. The other thing I want to address, because I'm always open and honest, our leak, it was like a 60-40 hit. So I'll admit it. The Ragnar shit didn't happen. Things happen sometimes under production. I'll get told something and through edits and cuts and whatnot, it doesn't make it to the final picture. Same thing with the armorer's jetpack and blaster. We know she got her jetpack, and we saw her blaster in the concept art. So I'm going to take a win on that one. But the Ragnar getting his armor, I'll be the first one to raise my hand, just like I do when I win. I fucking lost. So, boo on me. Now I have a little bit of this.
Emotional damage.
That's right. Some emotional damage, but we'll get there. I still trust in my contact. Like I said, shit happens. All right, dude. So in the end, let's get in. We'll dive into some of the top moments, Easter eggs, and some other random things that popped into my mushy head while watching this. But listen, we're not hating here. We still love The Mandalorian. I thought the season as a whole was fun, enjoyable, and definitely moved the goalpost for this timeline plenty forward. I mean, we went from Angry Bo hates everybody, doesn't want to play, and Din the Apostate to She is now the Mandalore. They have returned to their planet. They've reunited all these disparate factions. So, I mean, that's big shit. We got cloning closure, Grogu's new name. We learned about how foundlings are named and that Din's first name isn't even fucking Din, more than likely. It's Djarin.
Yeah, it's Djarin.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff there. It just, you know, it was underwhelming because of a bit of what we ran with from the cast. You never know. All right, dude. So let's get into some of these top moments. I got a new display here of using Safari's reader mode to knock out all those fucking ads and bullshit. So it should be nice and clean for you cocksuckers on the live stream. Hey there, Devin. Welcome to the show. On my review on TikTok, someone's like, hater's gonna hate. I'm like, what do you mean haters are gonna hate? Just listen to the whole goddamn review. I mean, some people. All right, so here we go. Top moments. Let's get into it. S3E8, the finale. And Nick, I'm leading with Lady Kryze, your reinforcements have arrived. I mean, like I said, I probably should have put the hallway fight in the adoption of Grogu. We're not going to cover it. I didn't do it in the video. But that moment where, you know, Axe gets up to the fleet, he kind of tells everyone to hit the road, and then that's when Bo gets called out of the garden cave, and out of nowhere, swooping down like Valkyries, you know, the Armorer, the Night Owls, and it was just a thing of fucking beauty that culminates in Bo whipping out the Darksaber and charging forward with all of her followers behind her. It was just a kick-ass visual moment, but something I wrote down, Nick, when I first saw this was, we are at a point in live-action Star Wars where Mandalorians look just as, if not cooler, than Force users. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, Force users can't fly, so that's pretty sick. I mean, it seems like in a technologically advanced society like Star Wars, not a lot of people use jetpacks, but yeah, I mean, like they were, I mean, if you think back to Old Republic days, there was a full-on war between just Mandalorians and Jedi. Like there was the Mandalorian Jedi War, which is what was the lead up to Revan and everything like that. So like Mandalorians have always been like one of the strongest forces in the galaxy, regardless of whether they have force powers or not. Like these people can stand up to anybody. And now this is really the first time in live action that we've actually seen that force and that like battle prowess in action in a large scale sense. And it was really kind of awe-inspiring for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just they literally did a cavalry charge with jetpacks using guns and, in the armorer's case, melee weapons. And I'm just like, this is amazing. I mean, when the armor in particular, I mean, Bo looks great flying with the saber, but the armor, she just winds up that fucking hammer and boom, like Mach 10 into a fucking Super Commando's face. It's just like, you know what? I don't think she's a spy. I mean, obviously it wasn't revealed. The theories now in the title, the spies are getting into like the Jewish religion. So I'm out. Like, I'm good. Yes, like, okay, whatever. The spies, we got duped there too. Who gives a shit? But watching the armor in action was just it was a thing of beauty. And, you know, her call to arms and just kind of uniting everyone behind Bo for that charge was just fucking killer looking. So that was my first top moment, if you don't count Din in the hallway and all that fun stuff. Next one, speaking of our boy Djarin, a.k.a. the new Din, his little, I just wrote this down, Nick, as Din v. Gideon v. Guards v. Grogu. You know what I mean? So really that whole sequence where Din starts fighting with Gideon. He's kind of holding his own against Gideon, and then the boys in red come out and kind of get Mando down to the ground, and we get our boy Grogu coming out, kind of, you know, hey, that's my guy. Don't fuck with him. Yeah. Kind of sacrificing him, almost sacrificing himself. And then, you know, I know some people think he's ridiculous, but I like that Grogu and Din got separated and they had to kind of deal with their own shit for a time. It wasn't until Bo showed up that Din was able to go help his little son. But seeing Grogu in there hopping around, you say whatever you want. I don't know. I was like, look, he's holding himself against 3 Praetorian guards. I mean, fucking Kylo and Rey probably were more challenged against the Praetorians than Din Grogu was for a second. But then when Din comes in, and this is really what made it stand out to me, and I kind of want to hear your take. But I believe, Nick, for the first time, we witnessed them actually working in tandem, leveraging their unique skill sets to take down a more powerful foe. Because up until now, it was usually like, all right, one of them is beaten, the other one has to save him. Here, they work together. You'd see Din, he'd come in with a melee move. Grogu would use the Force to block. And for the first time, you could see what we may start to see moving forward in these two. Now that Din Grogu is a Mandalorian apprentice and is no longer a foundling, you're going to see these two working in tandem. It's no longer, hey, I got to protect him. This whole episode, Din was like, hey, you good? We're fucking doing this. There was no daddying of Grogu. No, you need to hide. It was like, hey, buddy, I'm going to need you here. You got to essentially suck it up and be ready to rock. And that's exactly what Grogu did. So I really like that scene between those two and the Praetorians, mostly for not really the visuals of it, because let's be real, the puppet sometimes looks clunky, but I do prefer a puppet over CG. To me, it was like, all right, this is what they're going to become, and it's only going to get bigger and badder as time goes on. Watching these two in battle together is going to be fucking impressive, because you are, Nick, you're essentially going to get a Tar Vizsla between two people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle Grogu's progression in a production sense, because now they have, obviously they're committed to practical puppet as often and as much as possible. And with the series progressing and with him having more agency over his own actions, especially in a show that's going to be have a lot of combat focus, I'm really interested to see how they handle that. Is he going to be solely a Force user? Is he not going to have a weapon? Because right now, him using a weapon is going to look really clunky. Oh yeah, with a puppet, my God, even a lightsaber, it'll look like the old Kenner toys where it's coming right out of his hand, waggle, 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 waggle. Yeah. But I did I enjoyed the dynamic that showed itself through in that battle. One thing I wanted to call out too, and I wanted to see if you had an opinion on this. In the fight with Gideon, was his suit okay, we know his suit is Beskar, but was his suit mechanically
yes, I'm
powered?
glad you asked, because if you listen closely, Nick, when he moves,
you can hear the pneumatics.
You hear pistons and shit moving. But if you look on his hands, he's wearing fucking gloves. So how does he crush the Darksaber with his hands unless that the Vader looking black spandex also has some sort of motor system in it?
Yeah, a motor system, because that's exactly, because I was okay, all the regular troopers just have full Beskar, armor. Yeah, no, you're right. He's truly in the Dark Trooper 4.0, 100%. Yeah, he is in a full body suit that is also mechanized to make him super strong. So.
And if you listen, Nick, I'm still going with that. Gideon was a clone, but if you listen to him, that clone did not have the Force. The ones that Din kills, those were the ones that he finally got the Force infused.
Yeah, he was I haven't even had a chance. Right. He said something about I didn't even get to see their potential or something like that.
Because that's maybe some people were wondering, does he have the Force? Is that why he's throwing Din around like he's a fucking baby? But no, if you listen, you can hear it's
Robo
exactly.
Suits.
Yep. Yeah, kind of like RoboCop, 100%.
Yeah, so that's what I thought was interesting. But yeah, on the Grogu part, what I'm interested in seeing is how they handle his maturation process and his battle his focus on his battle. Because if he does get a lightsaber, which totally acceptable. He was presented a lightsaber by Luke Skywalker. I can't remember if he kept that or if he Did we ever find out if he
no,
actually just
that was
gave
no
that back?
he does not have it because that was Luke's deal. It was one or the other. It was not both. So he does not have a blade in his possession. Only the chainmail. Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how they handle him if he's just going to be like purely a Force user and never use a weapon. Because I think what could be cool is if they did give him a lightsaber eventually, he could just use the Force to use it.
Like it almost hovers around him. Like he never physically really holds it. It just kind of hovers.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what's her name does in KOTOR 2 and in Galaxy of Heroes. Frey, whatever.
Oh, that's right. Treya. Yep. Treya. Yeah, she has the trio of blades that just kind of juggle around her. Yeah. You know, dude, I would dig that. That would be fucking sweet. That would be sweet. Hello there.
I really am interested to see his progression because the scene that comes after the battle with like
let's go into because that was my last top moment was the Bo versus Gideon. I really liked the visuals of that. I mean, I thought Bo looked quite competent, strong, swinging that blade. But you know, obviously, the line of to pay off on the season lesson that everyone hopefully learned, at least in universe, that Mandalorians are stronger together. And when she said that, it was like Axe is coming down, blowing the shit up with the ship. Din shows up behind Gideon. Grogu's there. And then those three, the 3 stars of the season, Bo, Din, and Grogu, work in tandem to prove to Gideon that, hey, they are more than just their trinkets. When they band together, they're a damn near unstoppable force, especially when you have a Force user. So, you know, obviously her line, and then the tide turns, Axe crashes down, and, you know, you get to see Gideon clone blow up, and then, of course, our boy comes in. And, you know, I mean... It's the season 1 save. Right. Did anyone, was anyone even remotely concerned that these 3 were not going to survive that explosion? Like, because they even cut away, like, you know, unless you're a little kid, they cut away and they show like all the fire coming out of the hole, and you're like, oh, but you're like, well, yeah, what the fuck do you think's gonna happen? You know, little dude's gonna be down there throwing up the Force bubble. What I want to ask you is, why the fuck didn't Grogu share this tip with Kanan? Because Kanan could have saved his fucking self if he knew that he could use the Force to block an explosion. That's all I'm going to say. You know, Grogu, a little bit of a dickhead back in the Jedi Temple.
Yeah, it's like, hey, man, share some of that knowledge. Come on. But, I mean, it was a cool scene. Obviously, seeing the roasting of the Robo Gideon was cool. And yeah, I mean, like, I think overall that scene was like a perfect kind of cap to the journey of these 3 as a season 3 trio. Because like you said, it really did kind of take all of them to take down this like enhanced Gideon.
Because he was beating them all one-on-one. Like, he beat Din one-on-one. He was about to beat Bo one-on-one.
Yeah. So you needed the Force user in there. You needed the person who was like adept at fighting, and you need the person who is also in there to like distract and like take some of the blows, and then you can ultimately defeat your foe together.
I did like Gideon.
Yeah, I thought that was a
Gideon's line was kind of spot on when he's like, Mandalorians are nothing without their trinkets, and they kind of were when they were all split apart.
Disarmed.
You know what I mean? Yeah, but like, the point made at the end there is like, when they're together, trinkets or not, they're quite an impressive force. So yeah, that was all fun stuff there. All right, but yeah, while we're talking about the exploding Gideon, you're on that was a clone train.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. I mean, it's too easy of an like. As straight, and like that was kind of like one of our pieces of feedback for this when we first started. It was like, this is a very fucking straightforward finale. It seems like good guys fight bad guys, good guys win, bad guy gets exploded, boom, done. But like, I do agree with you that I think that that's probably a clone. I don't like, and then as much talking as Giancarlo has done about like, oh yeah, in season 4.
Yeah, dude, he was talking about season 4 while he was doing press for season 2, I think. So
yeah. So unless this motherfucker pulled a Brendan Wayne and really is just like fucking with our heads, like
that's the thing. I
mean,
mean,
he's gonna be in season 4.
To me, Gideon is too good of a villain. He's too calculated. He planned things too long to just let himself get got like that. I mean, you would think a guy that excels in spycraft and plans and long games would have had a contingency if this shit went sideways. Why would he, ego aside, be like, nah, fuck it, I'm going to take everyone on myself, is essentially what he ended up doing. So I do think real Gideon is out there, and this was all set up so he could potentially make his move to become the next leader of the Empire. I mean, this is really, it is what he wanted to do, but I think he sent a clone just in case.
Yeah, I mean, the only argument that you could have against it being a clone is like knowledge. You know, obviously, it just depends on like how long this clone has been viable, like in service, because you could like the only thing that you could say is like, well, how did he know everything that he knew about Bo and Din and Grogu and stuff like that? But it's like, it's easy to pass that knowledge along.
Right. I mean,
especially
we can use Palpatine logic. I mean, yeah, he's a Sith, but he inhabited a clone body and he knew all of Palpatine's thoughts. So in the land of science fiction, I'm going with if Gideon's like, hey, Pershing, whoever, I want a carbon copy of myself right now with all the memories, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm sure that there's ways to upload, consciousness or, memories and stuff like that in the Star Wars universe, especially. I mean,
look what they did with Tamura's clones, Jango's clones. They pre-programmed their brains to be subservient warriors. So you could, like I said, in science fiction and Star Wars, you can science whatever the fuck you want. So. There's no way. It seemed like too easy of a death for this massive villain that's been kicking around in the galaxy since the fall of the Emperor. So I think he'll be back, and hell, maybe he may even try to fuck Thrawn's arrival. You never know. You could definitely tell in episode 7 he was not a fan of Thrawn, didn't buy into the hype, and he had his own designs, which was Force user Mando. Clones of himself in Dark Trooper 4.0 suits. That was his grand plan. He was, first I thought he was just being, funny in episode 7, but when you saw the clone hallway, he was not fucking kidding. In his mind, the thing that perfected the Dark Trooper program was the new suit and him in it, and he wasn't fucking kidding. He cloned himself a little army to begin. All right. Good stuff. So I think now we can get into. He
was a clone with the Force, wouldn't he? If he used the Force, yeah, he didn't have the Force in this clone.
Sir Dork, you didn't hear us, buddy. He specifically what we are saying as a clone Gideon. He specifically says that the batch Din destroys was the first batch of the Force infused clones. So that's that. We got you, Jared. Don't worry. Check Discord, please. Okay, so what the hell else did I have in here? Why do I have all these images left? All right.
Linda says, I don't think he's dead. He's in heavy duty Beskar. Well, that's the problem with being in a full metal suit when you get caught on fire. You literally burned to death.
That's the weapon Sabine created in Rebels. It was like a Tesla coil.
Yeah, I was gonna say Sabine. I know Sabine's was electricity based, but it was essentially the same kind of.
You just warmed up the meat until it melted, like literally with dust, and nothing would be left but the Beskar.
Yeah, so like he got like that clone version of him got fried inside of that suit.
Hey, these days we could be completely wrong, and Gideon is completely off the map, but I don't think so.
Yeah. It's just like we're also conditioned at this point in Star Wars to be like, oh, a main character died. Right. They're definitely not fucking
exactly. Dead. I mean, the only one we could buy into, because we literally saw him die in his son's arm, and then his son lit his body on fire, was Darth Vader. That's it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like, hey, you never know. You never know. I mean, shit, Kino Loy is pretty much confirmed coming back.
Like Kino Loy's coming back, and this motherfucker was almost sure dead.
Yeah, he staged a prison breakout and then didn't leave the prison. So you'd think they'd just shoot him in the fucking head, but no, he's going to be back because the fans loved him. So you never know. Yeah. Linda, you can't literally until you see body parts everywhere. Even then, you probably can't just take it to the bank.
It's like, how do we know that Jango Fett's dead? Because his head got cut off. That's how we know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, here's a bunch of other cool-looking images. I'm not quite sure why I uploaded all these, but here they go. I guess it's just to eat up bandwidth on the site. What the fuck was I thinking? Oh, well, let's get into the Easter eggs
like
and
another
stuff.
top... Yeah, I guess another top moment would be like the final, like the destruction of the Darksaber.
There you go. I got a picture of that. Go ahead, talk on it a little bit.
Again, like I was pretty happy with seeing that because I do think that the Darksaber has been essentially a dark omen that's hung over.
It's a curse. The fucking
the
curse.
Mandalorian people. Yeah, since it was stolen from the Jedi Temple after Tar Vizsla's death. But here's my thought on it. Like, I, as a person who is like anti-Darksaber for the sake of Mandalorians, am happy to see it go down. Will it probably be reforged? It's definitely a possibility. Like, it just depends on like what the stance of the people of this new Mandalorian culture is. Because as we learned in the penultimate episode, like only half of them really cared about the Darksaber. And they didn't even really care about the Darksaber. They cared about like how the Darksaber was gotten by whoever has it. And I think that was all kind of squashed when Bo beat the shit out of Axe Woves. Like after that, they were all like, you know what? She beat him fair and square. It doesn't matter about the Darksaber or not. Like, she's clearly the warrior equivalent of a leader to these people.
I mean, shit, the way the episode ended, even though it was on fast forward, I mean, she's given the torch. She reignites the Great Forge, and for Mandalore. I mean, she is the motherfucker. So she wasn't holding the Darksaber up to get those cheers. They were behind her because of what happened, the outcome. They did it. Bo-Katan had a full redemption arc at this point in time, going all the way back to her shittiness in the Clone Wars, being number 2 in Death Watch, essentially fracturing Mandalorian society, all the way through Rebels, trying to make amends, and now here we go. She did it.
Hey, I mean, and like that's one thing that we really didn't focus on because it's not specific to the Mandalorian. It is like pretty much like a 3-show arc for this character. But it is kind of like a beautiful conclusion for Bo-Katan, and obviously not a conclusion. This character will continue to show up in live action Star Wars series probably for the next couple of years. But like, what a journey, you know, to meet Bo-Katan as like this kind of, I don't want to call her disenfranchised, but she was a youth that was like rebelling against her own people, but you know, being lured to a fanatical faction and following them out of a sense of like misguided purpose helps to essentially dismantle the society, the Mandalorian society, and has now come full circle to reunite the people that she first rebelled with in Death Watch. I mean, and I thought that was very poignant that Death Watch was brought up, and they were like, well, Death Watch has been gone for a while. To like reunite both factions of Mandalorian society and be able to be the one that leads them all back to prominence and to retake their home planet. I mean, that like her character story arc gets lost in this because people think that this show is about Din.
This season was all about her redemption. And, you know, he was a part of it, but I mean, season 3, in my opinion, was the Bo-Katan coming out season.
Yeah. So like, I do think that like that her arc and where she ended in season 3 was really kind of poignant, and it was really just a well-earned character.
I guess. I mean, when you talk about like that, Nick, I guess that probably is the most exciting aspect we have coming out of Mandalorian season 3 is what's going to happen next with a reformed Mandalorian society. What will they do? Will it instantly fucking break down because they get back in their faction politics, or because the Darksaber's gone, they retook Mandalore together under one leader? Bringing various factions together with different belief systems. What will that look like? Why do we not hear anything about Mandalorians in the sequel trilogy? Do they just ride off into the sunset and become isolationists again? Because that's who they were. They were isolationists during the Clone War. They wanted nothing to do with anything. It was Maul's fault that they had to bring the Republic to Mandalore to get his ass off. So you're right. I mean that's probably to me the most exciting possibilities is for the Mandalorians. Yeah. What do they do now?
And it's like this is an opportunity for Star Wars to break out of its like most formulaic like structure, because Star Wars is cyclical as fuck. Because here's what happens: bad guy, good guy war, good guys win, peace for a bit, bad guy, good guy war, bad guys win, chaos for a bit, bad guy, good guy war, all circle around again. And it's the same shit that happens with Mandalorians. Mandalorians always get into the cycle of, hey, we're gonna be a warrior society, move away from warrior society for a long time, peace, isolationism, nobody fucking with you, people inside of Mandalore, I want to fight, Mandalorian civil war, back to the top. And it fucking goes like that the whole time. And this is exactly what we've gotten out of just now, is like, we were still in this kind of like Mandalorian Cold War where you had the warrior mercenary Mandalorians that were like Axe Woves, Casca, and Bo, and then you had the isolationist Mandalorians that were the bunker kids. And like finally we've finally gotten back to the point to where it's like all copacetic again. But how long is it going to be until one of these factions rises up again to be like, we need to fight or we need to not fight? Like, yeah, so that's I mean, to me, that's where, I mean, Mandalorian season 4, obviously I think Din and Grogu are still going to be the face men, but I do hope they explore a bit of what has happened now that Mandalorian society has been reformed. Will they get mixed right up with Ahsoka's journey? Will they tie into the New Republic at all? I mean, that's all. I mean, it might not sound exciting on paper, but hey, I've never been here for the gunfights and laser swords. I just like the fucking science fiction lore through and through. Here's a good one here from Nova I want to pop up real quick. I'm sure you noticed the very in-your-face circle wipe at the end of this episode, Nick. And if you go back and look at Nova, what he's putting up here is also the circle wipe transition at the end implies that this is the end of an arc, phase 1 complete. I thought that was a good touch. And he's not wrong. I forget. I think it's A New Hope. But it's like at the end of certain movies, you only get this circle wipe, which signifies a major transition, like a main arc has completed. Nova, if you've got the link to where that, someone actually did like some work and produced a bit that made it make more sense than my dumbass can explain. But I'm with Nova on that. I think that circle wipe was on purpose. It wasn't just cutesy shit to show Grogu hovering frogs. It was to signify that this season 3 ends essentially the first part of the Mandalorian story, or the Mandoverse story, if that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I think that like the idea, if you just kind of look at like season 1 was literally just like, dad and his boy making his way through the galaxy, but it quickly transitioned in season 2 to about like once Bo-Katan came in, this show became about like the Mandalorian people. And now that's over. I mean, for as long as it can be. So now we are going to move. And now the transition is going to be, now that the Mandalorians have their shit together, let's talk about this imminent threat to the galaxy.
Okay.
And now you have.
So here's a good one from Johnny. What would be our elevator pitch to Lucasfilm then for season 4 in The Mandalorians?
I mean, for season 4 in The Mandalorian, it's like, here's the thing: is like season 4 is essentially going to be like as Book of Boba Fett was like Mando chapter 2.5. I feel like Mando season 4 is going to be like Ahsoka chapter 1.5. Like,
okay, fair. No, I mean, you're probably not wrong.
I mean, I think that's what it's going to be, because like Ahsoka is going to reintroduce Thrawn into the galaxy. Thrawn is going to come in with the like if they're taking shit from Heir to the Empire, like there's going to be like a Phantom Fleet included, like. Because that was, I mean, like that wasn't directly Heir to the Empire. That was like there was a lot of stories in this timeline.
I think you're onto something, because there have been rumors of like potential zombie troopers or troopers that feel reanimated and not actual things, living standard troopers.
Because like before, like there was like in original like old EU stuff, like before Heir to the Empire, I'm pretty sure it was before Heir to the Empire, because it was literally in the X-Wing series and something like right in that time period. There was like a lost fleet. There was like a lost Imperial fleet that was like out in the outer reaches of the galaxy when all the shit went down in ROTJ. And it was all like after the fall of the Empire, all of the like Imperial warlords or Imperial like higher military rankings that were up there were trying to find this fleet, because it was like a super fucking powerful fleet. They're like, if we get this fleet and bring it back into the galaxy, we can retake power. So I think that they're gonna like take that piece and then take the Thrawn piece from Heir to the Empire and kind of marry those things.
I'm with you on that.
So what you're gonna essentially this is going to be the beginning of like Thanos is here. Oh shit! Like so. Ahsoka, you're going to have the entry of Thrawn into the galaxy, and he will have power behind him, whether it be from whatever he was working on with Morgan Elsbeth or something else. That can't get wrapped up in one season, and that is a galaxy-wide type of threat. That's not going to just be like, well, Ahsoka can deal with it, and then her buddies from Phoenix.
I think we're going to learn in the Ahsoka series that no, they can't deal with it. She tried to nip it in the bud early, tried to enlist help, but that help never came, and the rebels are only as big as the rebels. I mean, they like 4 or 5 of them left, so...
so like, I mean, essentially what it's going to end up turning into is like a very MCU style thing, where it's like once like in Infinity War happened, or like like Thanos made himself like very much the key person in the galaxy. Every movie that, even the movies that weren't Avengers focused, were like, that was what they were trying to figure out, is like what's the best way that we can handle this. And I think that's what Mando season 4 is going to be. So we have Ahsoka, and then there's Skeleton really like crew. If they do,
we should get Skeleton Crew before season 4.
Yeah, so those are our 2 like main ones. It would be really interesting to me if the Skeleton Crew got fucking wrapped up in the Thrawn stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think that Mando season 4 is going to be like a true like Din reaches out to the Mandalorians to be like, hey, I know that you guys just got your shit together, but like there is an imminent threat that's not only going to affect
that's
you,
where
but
I'm
it's going to affect everybody.
So here's what I'd like to see in season 4 real quick, then we'll get back to punching this out. I would like Bo herself to assist Ahsoka. She fucking owes her one. So I want to see that. Bo owes Ahsoka big time, because Ahsoka's who got Maul off the fucking planet. Like you said, we already know Din and Din Grogu will be working with Teva and them. So yes, that's coming. But kind of what Nick just said there, I would like, an Axe Wove, a Casca Reeves, some of the name people, maybe even the Armorer. I'd like them also to potentially go on a job or a mission for the New Republic when shit really starts to get hairy. I don't want the Mandalorians to become isolationists again. I don't think they will, based on what we saw this season and what they had to do to retake their planet. I'm like you. I want to see them directly involved. Bo in particular with Ahsoka, and the other named faces that we've come to know and possibly love. I'll tell you what. I've been dragging my feet on buying the Casca Reeves and Axe Woves Hot Toys. Casca in particular might have earned her a place on my shelf after the finale, because I don't know if you all, or you, Nick, if you were watching like some of the action scenes where they focused on her, she's a fucking badass. Like when she like flies in, she's shooting motherfuckers, slides across that platform, falls off, shoots her knee missiles at the dude, whacks another guy. I mean, hey, she might not have a ton of lines and just, is usually good for a one-off, but Casca, like I said, she may have earned herself an action figure buy. But yeah, I just, let's see them do their thing again. Like I said, watching bands of Mandalorians work together and use all their trinkets to kick ass, that's something special to watch in Star Wars. And, we all love our Force users, but for the most part, what do you get with Force users? Stuff flying across the screen, it's floating, and some laser swords. You're not getting motherfuckers going Mach 20 with jetpacks on, whacking people in the face with steel hammers. So I just, let's not let these Spartans of Star Wars rest too long on Mandalore, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I mean, I really do think that, like, even at this point, even in Mando season 4, we have to start building threads towards like the big question, which is, why didn't we see Mandalorians in?
Yeah, I mean, does Thrawn just show up and he's like, all right, we tried to do this the first time, Zablaga! And just blast the planet. Yeah. Like, oh, they're all back here now. Boom!
I mean, because the thing is like, if anybody's going to take that tact, it will be Thrawn. Like, Thrawn is a brilliant doesn't even describe it good enough. He is savant, a transcendent military tactician that really understands things that even the Emperor doesn't understand when it comes to tactical awareness on a battlefield on a big words. All right. Time scale.
Now that you said that, all right, let's say it was Thrawn versus Palpatine for a long game evil plan. Who ends up winning?
If it's a military engagement, Thrawn wipes him off the board. It's not even close. Like, Thrawn defeats like, if it's a game of Risk, let's put it this way. If it's a game of Risk and it's Thrawn versus Palpatine, he wins every time. Thrawn wins that game in 45 minutes. Okay,
so like, what if it's not even military close. And politics, which is Palpatine's kind of what he had to navigate.
Yeah. If it's military and politics, if it comes down to the politics, Thrawn loses, because that's a game that he never wanted to play and never really enjoyed playing. And the only reason that he ranked up the way that he did is because he was in Palpatine's favor. Like, Palpatine loved the guy because he was this transcendent genius. And like, but he would never engage in that game, because that's not like, Chiss don't have that, like, that type of personality to where they can like easily engage in like political nonsensory.
Right. Got you. All right. So what if they're put in a room and they both have to show off their unlimited power? Who wins that one?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a cage fight, man, it's actually interesting if it's a cage fight too, because he's such a good hand-to-hand combat person. Like, he's really good in a single fight, but I think that the Force just wins out. But if I'm about to start a military campaign and I need a top ranking general to run the whole thing, if I'm like, I don't know shit about war and I just need somebody to run this whole war thing for me, I'm picking Thrawn over Palpatine.
Did you ever explain to me why Thrawn didn't have more power over Tarkin, or wasn't at a greater level, a greater station?
I think it was like, a lot of it was because they were on opposite sides of like the political coin, like, or like the power broker coin, for lack of a better term. Like Tarkin can leverage political tie-ins. He can leverage, like he not only has like the tie-ins directly to Palpatine himself, like Thrawn has, but he also has like a shitload of political connections that he can leverage to his favor, where Thrawn didn't really have that. Thrawn had like pure logic and military prowess. He's like, look, and that's why Thrawn was pushing for the TIE Defender stuff. Thrawn looks at this big ass, like, planet destroying space station, and he's like, yeah, but if somebody blows it up, then you're done. Yeah. And he's like, if we have the best ships in the galaxy, and we have tons of them mass produced, we can't lose. Like, it's impossible for us to lose because we outmaneuver them, we out firepower them, and like purely based off of manpower, we outnumber them. Like, if we use TIE Defenders, we just win. But Tarkin was championing the Project Stardust stuff. He's got the political connections to pull those levers. Plus, he's also in Palpatine's favor. So when it comes down to it, Palpatine looks at it and he's like, well, it's a lot of logistical work to mass produce these huge,
yeah,
like, these
and we know from the Bad Batch that he's cheap as fuck.
Yeah, like he's
still
like,
makes no sense.
He's like a penny pincher, which like literally doesn't.
You're
make
the fucking
sense
emperor of an entire galaxy, and you're worried about the budget. Like, what are we talking about here?
Like, you control the currency.
Just make the fucking money, pal. Like, who cares about inflation? You're already an emperor. It's not like you're a president. You weren't democratically elected. You took power by force. So just keep doing it. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean,
all right,
it's ridiculous.
Well, that's always fun.
Yeah, I mean,
we had a good comment there from Joe Coughlin. I would love to play Risk with Thrawn. Get that game over with as fast as possible. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he would end that game before you even know what you could do.
Yeah. Like, oh man, that's always Nick always. He's I have zero Thrawn knowledge outside of what I've heard from Nick and what I've seen in Rebels. So I like to check in on that every once in a while.
Yeah. So like that's why I'm upset that they didn't stinger Thrawn in this one, because like his entry into this galaxy means a fucking world of trouble.
Dude, the other thing you got to think about, Captain Pellaeon knows about the Mandalorian threat. So I mean, if he is talking with Thrawn, he could be already giving Thrawn a heads up, like, hey, listen, Gideon fucking failed. Mandalorians are back. That's target number one. Because even him, you know, he was getting a little like, hey, you know what, Gideon, you don't really need resources. But once Gideon's like, by the way, Mandalorians are reuniting and they're going to take Mandalore, that's when Pellaeon was like, oh shit. Yeah, that's a fucking problem, pal. That could screw up even my plans with Thrawn's return. So you would have to assume that Pellaeon went to whoever he is communicating with Thrawn with, or if it is the blue guy himself, and was like, hey, heads up. Yeah, we got a much bigger problem than the New Republic to deal with once you get back.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. Like in Rebels, Thrawn fucked with maybe two Mandalorians. Like he fucked around with Sabine, and like that whole squadron gave him more troubles than anybody or any group had in his entire.
It led to his potential demise. So like I mean, it took him off the chessboard for the Emperor. I mean, it's like, and this was before Battle of Yavin and everything. It was right when the Rebel Alliance became a thing. They finally made themselves known, and you are correct. I mean, through Sabine and the Ghost Crew and what is that, Phoenix Squadron, they were able to take a major player off the fucking board.
Yeah, so like the fact that he's coming into this galaxy now, already having some knowledge of Mandalorians and like what they can do, to know that like the Mandalorian people have coalesced into like a unit that would be
target one, you would think, for Thrawn.
Oh yeah, he's like coming down onto Mandalore. He's like, you think that the Empire fucking glass
just fucking starts shooting, doesn't even announce himself. Here's a good one from Bat. I don't. we didn't really need to see Thrawn, not even the back of his head, but we needed something. And I like what Bat's saying here. They should have at least shown Pelion getting an alert at the end. Little light flashing, he looks up, would have been perfect. Yes. That's great.
No, like a stinger like that would have just
fantastic.
That would have been a great way to play, because you've introduced Pelion already, so and you know that Pelion is involved with Thrawn in like a big fashion. So like that would have been the perfect.
The
way
lack
to
of
just,
a
like,
stinger,
tease.
the more I think about it, it's not an issue. Let's be real. I mean, issues are the planet's going to explode and we suck as humans. But it just kind of adds to the fact that the season 3 finale was just too clean. There was nothing. So like even that little bump that Bat gave us would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, now, all right, okay, like, good, now, Ahsoka, let's go.
Yeah, now we know. Now we know somebody's coming. Now we know he's out there. So
well, let's get in a few Easter eggs and stuff, and then we can move on from the finale here. But the way things are going, we may not get to the Bad Batch thing. You never know. We'll see how the Easter egg breakdown plays out. But these usually go pretty quick. But here we go. This is one thing. I was like, oh, what was the point of even capturing Din if he was going to be freed within the first 2 seconds? And how the fuck did Grogu get to him? We're not going to worry about that stuff. It's science fiction. Who gives a shit in the end? But the reason we're talking about the rescue is a callback to season 1. I don't even know how Grogu knew this because he was not there. But I like when he rescues Din and just starts immediately hosing him down with Bacta spray from IG-12's arm, which, you got to remember IG-11, that's how he saved Din in season 1 when he kind of got blowed up a little bit. So I thought that was a nice touch. And the fact that Grogu would not let go of the trigger. It's just like... It's like anyone that's had kids, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, oh yeah, just go ahead and pour some out for yourself. They're like, blah! Like the whole fucking jar goes out. It's like, okay, all right. I mean, you got it done, I guess.
Definitely some.
Yeah. Up next, you know who else had I don't know if you can call it a redemption arc, but definitely some growth this season, and that is R5. All right, Mr. Scaredy Droid himself. I don't know. There's some about this droid and his personality that I'm really digging at this point in time. And, Nick Din calls him in to help with the ray shields. The best part is, like, as he's flying in, you could tell he's scared shitless. He lands, you could tell he's scared shitless. He's, like, looking over the edge like, fuck. He's looking around corners like, oh, shit, mouse droids. But the reason I'm talking about this in our references breakdown, it reminded me of R2's job on the Death Star. Again, he was kind of the hero for the meatbags out there, and without R5, Din and Grogu would have been fucked in that hallway. But it just, R5 has been a pleasure this season. He ratted out the Mando covert unknowingly. He gave Din shit when they first got the Mandalore about getting outside into the air that's poison. And then it's just like, man, watching him fly down and just scoping out the situation, going like, how the fuck did I get myself into this? Like, how did I end up here? I was having a good life on Tatooine with Pelly, and that motherfucker sold me into servitude again. So
it's like, damn it, I was out.
And then
I was done with this.
Even
shit.
the little payoff when the mouse droid rats him out, and he goes and gets all his buddies, and they get their little cop car lights on, doing the circle jerk around them. So R5, we love you. But really the reference was R5 hacking the base plans. I just took a while to get there. All right, so Din's fight. And for those of you that are preloading Jedi Survivor, we got to see the stun batons that first showed up in Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order. But Nick, if you really look close at the baton and the shields, you could make an argument that these are the Gen 1 versions of the First Order shield and baton troopers that we saw in The Force Awakens. Remember the guy that challenges Finn at Maz Kanata's base? The shields are definitely Gen 1 to what we see with the First Order troops. So I thought that was a nice little touch. And like I said, I might have been a little salty after my first viewing, but Din's hallway fight is pretty damn spectacular. That was really not as eye fucking as when Force users are in a hallway, but it was definitely up there, and I owe him an apology. Really, I think this was. I would imagine Lateef was probably in this episode for almost the entire time because, this is the first we got to see Din because he didn't have a blaster use his martial arts, and that's always going to be Lateef. So, yeah, good stuff there. And what else? Oh, the Gideon clones. Okay, we've talked about him. And the shot I got up there, if you look at it, man, that's a clone. The guy we saw. That's not the Moff that we came to know and love in season 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. He even looked a bit younger. I mean, I'm not saying Giancarlo looks old and decrepit, but there's just, when I saw him show up in season 7 again, I was like, oh, what is it? Is it the haircut? Is it the mustache? But as we identified, clones. But really the point, and the reason it made this breakdown, those clone tanks, same ones we saw in Navarro, same ones we saw in this season of Bad Batch. So there you go. There's the rub. And then sticking with Gideon, he had himself an electro staff, just like Purge Troopers used to whip. So, yes, we all know that they can block laser swords. I had to explain that to the family. Like, it's okay. This is established canon. It actually kind of goes all the way back to the Clone Wars with our Magna Guards and their staffs. But, yes, these can block laser-based weapons. And then to round this list off, he's no longer IG-12. He is back in full form as IG-11, the Marshal. And you had to like the nice touch. Did you see they even gave him a holster? I like that. Like they literally gave him a holster. You got a little bit of a paint job, but if you go back and watch that, they gave the motherfucker a 6-shooter holster like a true Marshal would, just like Cobb had on what most Pelgos. So nice touch there. Here's Bat. Yeah, Bat. He was popping off on this in the Discord, but Din has the most fire retardant cape of all time.
Yeah,
it's like
that cape doesn't.
Come on, man! Like anytime Din would get hit with flame, nothing. He would flame. Those super commandos are like, oh! You could tell it hurt him. It didn't kill him, but not Din. That fucking cape keeps him safe. So good point.
Ice cold.
Good point there, Bat. All right, so yeah, I guess the last thing we haven't covered from the Ha, and we did briefly talk about it, but it does seem at this point in time, at least for Mandalorian foundlings, they take the name of their adopted Mandalorian as their first name. So there's a great chance that Din's real name is Djarin.
Yeah, it's like it's a family. Your family name is first. I mean,
exactly.
It's like
I would be Haywood Matt. He'd be Caminita Nick. It's that.
Yeah, and it's like that's like in a lot of Eastern traditions too. I think like some families in China still do that, where you put your family name before your personal name.
This fired people up for some reason. They're like, what? His fucking name is blah. I was like, what?
Who gives a fuck?
What's the big fucking deal if Din's name is Djarin and not Din? Who cares?
Yeah, I mean, like
fucking cares.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, and again, like I think that people don't understand that like within a society you can have like subgroups because everybody's like, well, Bo-Katan Kryze and Satine Kryze.
They're pure blood though. They are true Mandalorians. I think this is only a foundling thing.
Yeah, it's not the same. Like there are subgroups within a society that have their own traditions and their own way of naming themselves and stuff like that. So you can't Jango, like, I mean, I guess you could point to Jango Fett, but like I don't know, man. It's just like, does it really fucking matter that much?
No. Yeah, I mean, because I think Jango was canonically made a foundling via the Mandalorian, right?
Yeah.
So but that then means all the legend stuff with Jango, is it real or not? Did Jaster actually have anything to do with him? Because that was also in Boba's chain code in the Mandalorian. So if that's the case, our theory goes out the window that it's only foundlings. But Nick is also correct. There are groups of humans that could all be Christians that may name themselves different, if that helps anybody. You know what I mean? I mean, you are not wrong. My boss right now, his name is Apabio. That's his name.
So like,
I'm like you. I didn't quite get the shock and awe from that reveal. It's like, all right, I mean, these people are weird enough as it is. Why not, change the order of your names? Because Paz didn't, but Paz isn't a foundling. I mean, he's of the Vizsla clan. He's got technically pure Mando blood running through his veins. And the armor, her first name is The at this point. We just don't fucking know.
Yeah, we have no fucking idea what her name is. Yeah, I mean, like, canonically, he's a foundling. Like, Mandalorian
is Boba's real name Fett? Are they
Fett? Is it Fett Boba? Like, I don't know.
It's nothing I'm going to waste brain cells on, I can tell you that. But I think your assessment is probably the best. It's that particular group, the children, that's how they roll. And that's okay, and that can happen. It's nothing worth, fucking getting all pissy about. All right.
I don't get too hung up on little semantic bullshit like that. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
No. But hey, welcome to the Star Wars fandom. This week's drama, Nick, you're probably like, oh, great. No more new Star Wars. No, there shouldn't be any Star Wars drama. But apparently the drama this week is that Jedi Survivor gamers are pissed that those that bought the physical disc edition are still going to have to download like 100 gigs on launch day. So that's the controversy this week.
I mean, you got to be aware of that now. As a gamer, like, that's every
You can't, like,
game.
I don't think people realize that games these days are they have a heavy footprint, and you're not going to fit all that on a fucking game disc anymore. It doesn't happen.
Dude, that's why, like, I told Matt before we went live, I was like, yeah, I just bought a 1 terabyte solid state drive for my computer to upgrade my storage. Cause like I've been running with this 500 gig solid state drive for years
Doing
now.
A lot of deleting and like, installing.
Yeah. It's like, I'm constantly like, well, I was playing this game, but now I stopped playing it and I want to play this game. So I have to delete this game and then install this game until I stop playing this one, and I uninstall it and put another one on there. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Like this solid state drive's on sale for $66, 1 terabyte. I'm buying it. Like, so, but yeah, I mean, like that's just gaming now. It's not like it was back in the day, like when me and Matt were youngins, where you buy a disc and that's all it is, and it will never be anything more, and they can't fix any of the problems.
Like I said, I just, now, I like to report back to you what the fuckery is this week, and that's where we're at. So
100 gigs, baby. Get ready.
Well, apparently the full game requires 155. I don't know if that's just for PC, but yeah, I mean, if you want 4K this, 8K that, cell shade this, light ray that, there's going to be a lot of fucking data to get that done.
And it'd be heavy.
All right, dude.
Be heavy.
I think we're actually doing all right on time, so I'm going to move into the Bad Batch just to put it to bed officially, so then we can put Mando Season 3 to bed next week. All right, so, for the next 10, 15 minutes, Nick and I are going to reflect back on the Bad Batch Season 2, that is. And, of course, my graphics not going to look all right here, but it doesn't really matter. No one's paying attention anyways at this point in time. We'll just zoom out a bit. Here we go. So, kind of like we did with Andor and whatnot, at the end of the season, we like to recap top moments. We're not even going to get in the weeds and bitch and moan about some of the less than spectacular things that happened in Bad Batch Season 2. We're just going to focus on the good and see what happens. Oh, that was even worse. So, Nick, I've got some stuff posted up in our secret Slack chat. So to start with our breakdown of the Bad Batch Season 2's best moments, and these aren't in any particular order, so no one get upset quite yet. I just got to get the right Slack screen up. Okay, here we go. All right. So, top moments. Here we go. No particular order, Nick. Feel free to comment. Cody and Crosshair, that episode. In particular, the defection of Cody and, the effect that had on Crosshair. Because I do think Cody leaving that early on in the season ultimately impacted Crosshair's state of mind, which led to him doing what he did on that snow planet in, I think, episode 12, where he shot the commanding officer. So, for me, that is one of the top 10 moments of Bad Batch Season 2, that whole Cody episode, but really Cody kind of dropping that knowledge on Crosshair. Like, listen, we're not droids. We can make our own decisions, and more importantly, we have to live with our decisions.
Yeah, no, I think that, like, one of the strongest plot lines, even though it did like drag a little bit and it went on a little bit longer than we would have liked before its like conclusion, was the Crosshair stuff. I think that like him slowly coming to the realization that like it is like staying with the Empire may have felt like the right thing at first, but like they don't value you, there's no place here for you, and eventually it would just lead to them killing you. I think that was a very strong storyline, and I think that like having a character like Cody early on in that journey, like impart that wisdom to him, be like, look, man, like we are outdated software essentially. We're gonna get rotated out. Like that was very powerful for like him starting to process everything that's going on. So I agree that was definitely a highlight.
And, you know, if the shit wasn't fucked up, you'd actually see an image of Crosshair and Cody, but who cares? So moving on to the next one. Tech and Omega bond in the cave after Echo left the group. Now, you got to remember this was during the two horrible episodes that were back-to-back, episodes 9 and 10, Nick. But I do feel like that moment, they're in that cave. They just, you know, went through like that underground water slide. They're sitting there in that blue light. And, you know, for the first time, Tech kind of opens up as an actual being and not just an organic robot. And now that we know what we know about Tech's journey throughout the rest of the season, that moment is very poignant when you reflect back on it and what was exchanged there, and Tech kind of relating it to Omega. Like, listen, I'm emotionally jacked. I deal with things this way, and that's why you aren't seeing me acting so sad. And it just helped them form the bond between those two that grew throughout the season. And then the sad payoff on all that growth was his expected demise.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like in the moment, it was definitely one of those like episodes where we're like, oh, it's, you know, good character development for Tech, especially after the way that we had seen him in season 1, which was like very robotic, very like task oriented, not really having a like basically having like no like social, like can't read social cues, not really comfortable with social interaction.
He's like a C-3PO with human parts in him.
Yeah, he was like a droid. And then I mean, like upon reflection, after the full season's over, like going back and looking at that, you're like, that was actually like a very poignant moment, knowing what it led to. So yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. So the next one I have, Gungi returns. And it was more for shit. I'm never going to be able to get to the top. Who cares? It was more for, you know, just kind of getting that payoff on a Clone Wars character, knowing they're still alive, but also for a return, or not a return, but a trip to Kashyyyk, spending time with Wookiees, getting to see Wookiee culture and how they were kind of dealing with the Empire and their use of the Transdoshans to enslave Wookiees. And you could also argue that Gungi kind of gave Omega some lessons on focus, meditation, thinking before you act. And, you know, just seeing that dude's wooden green lightsaber is always exciting too. So that's why I put the Gungi return up there on this list.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to see many Wookiee Jedi. I mean, I know that we're going to be seeing Wookiee Jedi in I think, what is it, Acolyte, right?
Yeah, Eunice is literally starring as a Jedi Wookiee for sure.
I mean, I wonder if it's the Wookiee Jedi that, no, because I think he died. There is a Wookiee Jedi in the Old Republic novels, but I can't remember his name right now.
I'm pretty sure, Nick, that the Wookiee may come from High Republic stories. Or, I don't know. I don't know if he's new for the Acolyte or if they tapped into one. I'm stupid. High Republic.
Did I say Old Republic? I meant High
okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
so we're both dumb, but yes, we said something about a Wookiee Jedi.
I said that wrong. But yeah, I mean, like, it's always cool to see Gungi and any sort of like Wookiee representation outside of
There's not many force-wielding Wookiees. I've been reading about one in the Yoda comics, which, by the way, I just did a quick cap and review of, I think, Yoda number 6. Check it out. We're talking Wookiee Jedi, Tiger Jedi, and Transdoshan Jedi. So Yoda was running like a farm back in the day when Dooku was a bit younger. All right, moving on. The next one here. Meeting Mayday and his effect on Crosshair. So, Nick, Mayday was the wannabe Dangar clone from the Snowy episode, and obviously he had a huge impact on Crosshair. I mean, you could argue an even bigger impact than Cody did, but I think Cody was the first to kind of chip away at Crosshair's bullshit armor when it came to the Empire, and then Mayday fully broke him free.
Oh yeah, because he got to see in real time how little the Empire cares about clones. He got to see it to the point of death. Like he literally, like, him and Mayday like met and bonded in a day, if that, less than a day. And Crosshair's literally dragging his body back to Imperial headquarters, do something, help this guy, save him. And they literally just let him die on the ground in front of, they don't even move him. Like, they don't even pretend.
Which, Nick, I don't know if you remember, but earlier in the episode when they walked across one of the raiders, and Mayday's like, "Oh man, I can't believe they didn't even take him with them." And Crosshair's like, "Yeah, fuck that, screw dead soldiers." So that, like, to your point, even that short amount of time with Mayday was enough for Crosshair to even change his stance on saving fallen brothers. I mean, Mayday really worked him over. But Nick is correct. It was more allowing Crosshair to see the Imperial bullshit towards the clones in person than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Good moment.
This is probably one of my favorite, if not the top. But the clone decommissioning arc and Palpatine showing up to throw Rampart under the bus, that was probably the best back-to-back storytelling of the season. We got a lot of great callbacks to the Clone Wars. We got setups for things that we see play out in future Star Wars properties. We got a major answer about the Empire's plan for the clones, and it was just, hey, we're essentially going to throw them under the bus and say they went rogue thanks to this crazy admiral, and that just took care of any of those debates. So it was more not an exact moment. I latched on Palpatine's arrival on the Senate floor because that was like, oh shit, here he is, and he does the bus throwing right in front of us. But really, if you think about that whole arc with Chuchi and Rex and learning about the clones and their ultimate fate with the Empire, it was just choice Bad Batch season 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like it's Palpatine's. You're seeing Palpatine working in his arena, in like his arena of choice and his specialty to a T. Like that's what got Palpatine to where he is political maneuverings, and then taking things that you would think would harm his reputation and put him in a really tough spot with everybody around him, flipping it on his head and then using it to bolster his point of view.
No, it was beautiful. I mean, it was picture perfect Sheev Palpatine master plan. Another little long game, not as long as his big long game, but another one. Like all that was by design. All of it was by design. You could argue that he had always planned to use Rampart as the fall guy. I mean, that's how thought out he is. Nova, Nick, giving us some clarification. The High Republic Wookiee is in the books, and he can sense people's emotions with his force powers.
Yeah, I remember that from the half of the first book of the High Republic I read.
Yeah, I listened to like the first 20 minutes. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, within the half of the first book, like there's a huge tragedy that's striking this planet, and he can like feel the emotions because they're like trying to evacuate people.
So just like Obi-Wan Kenobi when he feels millions of voices reaching out at once, or all stopped at once. Okay, gotcha.
Very similar.
One of these days we may have to go back to it, especially because the Acolyte is going to be High Republic adjacent.
I mean,
And it seems to be thriving, dude. Like the High Republic, it's in what? It's like third or fourth phase, and it seems like there is a rabid community of High Republicers out there. It just, to me, I'm kind of treating it like I did back in the day when Lucas owned everything and the EU popped up, and he's like, "Hey, fine, but that shit's bullshit." And I was like, all right, if he's saying it's bullshit, then I ain't gonna fucking waste my time on it.
Now I think they are. I do have the first 2 novels, so like I said, I'm halfway through one of them, so I can go back and read it. I just gotta maybe the Acolyte will be the thing that really like pushes me over the edge.
Well, that's kind of what I was hinting at, is like knowing me and seeing moving pictures. If the Acolyte kicks as much ass as I think it could, my fat ass is going to read these fucking books. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of like when I was watching House of the Dragon, I'm like, Jesus, I kind of want to read this shit now and figure out what's coming next, because I don't want to wait for the next season. And I did get the book. Has it been opened? Absolutely not. So another fail for me. All right. Moving on with our breakdown of Bad Batch Season 2's top moments. We just talked about the clone decommissioning arc. And, since we were kind of talking about Clone Wars payoffs and whatnot, I'm going to move to the Zillo Beast arc payoff. And like I said, it's me and my appreciation of Star Wars' through lines, its parallels, but paying off on a narrative that was started in a different property many, many years ago. I like that type of stuff. It lets me know that these people give a shit. There is some sort of a plan. The right people are in the room talking about what to pull in from Clone Wars, what to leave out. And the episode was a nice return to form for Bad Batch after episode 9 and 10, because I believe this was 11, where, we just came off that horrible 2-episode arc where they're like, we lost our ship, and we're on a mining planet where all these little boys are being forced into slave labor. Whoop-de-doo. But yeah, I like the Zillo Beast payoff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, Nick, it may not be done because they got it back. It's clearly being used for cloning purposes. Could it be, are they trying to make armor for whatever they're cloning or fucking with the decommissioned clones on Tantus? You never know.
Yeah,
there's bad. I read the first few books. They're okay, but man, super exciters for super. All right, Batch is saying he's super exciters for Acolyte. We're exciters as well.
I mean, I'm definitely exciter.
Okay. And again, like some of my top moments, you'd be like, dude, what? Why do you like Star Wars? You just like people talking? And yeah, I actually do. That's some of my favorite shit because you learn stuff. So I'm going with Tarkin Summit. Right there in the penultimate and the season 2 finale. Just everything about it. Getting Tarkin there, having Krennic there, Hemlock, Ramadi, all the callbacks to other Star Wars and seeing how certain plans took shape early on. The dynamic between Tarkin and Krennic wasn't completely shit at this point in time. So I love that type of stuff. I'm all about lore, especially lore that paints more of the picture that we've been given in existing Star Wars content.
Yeah, no, I think that what really made that for me was the disagreements and the bickering and the Empire always seemed like it was one big machine that were all trudging in the same direction. And the only thing that could stop it was, Luke Skywalker and his father's love for his son. But really, that was kind of like an inside view of hey, these people don't agree on everything. And these people don't have the same ideas about how shit should be done.
Bro, we're seeing it with the Shadow Council. I mean, there's a faction that wants Thrawn. There's a faction that is starting the First Order. There's Gideon wanting to do his thing. So you're right. I mean, could we make the argument that the Empire had its various factions like Mandalorians did, and that's why they eventually got taken out by a group of ragtag rebels?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Even though it seemed like this giant behemoth of a war machine, you had people who were on different pages. You had people who disagreed, and you had people who were working. And this is very similar to like the Empire was built in the same way that the old Sith empires were, where it was like you fight for supremacy, you fight in like not in a physical sense in the Empire, but like you politically fought for your position. And if you gained favor of Palpatine, then like whatever you said goes, and that was it. It doesn't matter if it was the right idea. It was, you were in the right position for it. And like that is a very similar way to how the Empire is built. It's like you curry favor, and then you use that favor to do whatever you want to do. And that's why, you know, you see people like Thrawn who had a better idea than the Death Star get pushed to the side because the guy who Palpatine liked more says
the bigger balls,
make the fucking Death Star.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's,
make the Death Star.
You know, I mean, that's they as the armorer let Din know in the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, the Empire's reign was what, 30 years, if that. So not much at all. But it does seem like they kind of melted internally, and the rebels were there just to expose the internal disarray. Okay, up next, arrival of Dr. Hemlock. You know, with Rampart being thrown under the bus, we kind of lost our antagonist for the Bad Batch until this dude showed up. And when he showed up, he made it clear that he is a force to be reckoned with, because he is demented. I mean, he was so fucked up, the Republic kicked him out of the Republic Army because of the shit he was trying to do with science. So I dug this character as a bad guy. He does seem to be a little more of a formidable foe for Bad Batch than Rampart ultimately ended up being. And, you know, he's got that creepiness to him. He obviously has a large hand in what Palpatine's trying to do with cloning, so he brings some juice there. I just like the Hemlock character, and I can't wait to see what we get in season 3 from him.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that like he has an unsettling sort of presence to him, which is it's very like, it's even more unsettling than like, I mean, like Tarkin had an unsettling presence, but like this guy has an unsettling presence of like, he could kill me in a way that I wouldn't even know that I was being killed. Like it was, so yeah, I definitely like him as a character, and where we got
Hemlock. And then getting down to the end here, I still am like, I think the clone decommissioning arc was probably my favorite 2 episodes, but the penultimate and the finale are in a very close second, a few half percentage points behind, and that's because unlike the Mandalorian season 3 finale, there were some fucking stakes in the Bad Batch season 2 finale, so much so that this bullet point was just called ESB like finale. I mean, we ended with the bad guys losing. They lost. They lost Omega. They got their asses kicked. They didn't get Hemlock's coordinates, so they don't even know how to get to Tantus. Everything's fucked. Tech is dead. Okay, we're down to just Hunter and Wrecker, and it seems Echo is kind of sticking around for now, but the Bad Batch season 2 finale was pretty traumatic for the good guys, and I dig that. I dig that we are hanging off a cliff, as they say, with good TV all the way until season 3 debuts in 2024.
Yeah, I think that it was a strong end for sure. And I mean, I'm not, you know, we obviously know that season 3 is the end. Like season 3 is going to be the final season of this show. And I think that ending season 2, the way it did, just makes the stakes even higher for season 3. And given the fact that, like, I mean, we don't know what happens to these characters. We don't know if like they're gonna, you know, retcon shove these guys in as somebody in the you know, the original trilogy. If they're gonna try to shove them in somewhere else and say like, oh yeah, that guy was Hunter or something like that. Because ultimately, what more than likely happens to these guys, they get fucking killed. Like they're dead.
100%. I mean, to me, Nick, the only character that has legs is Omega, and that's because her twin brother is Boba Fett. I would like to see some sort of payoff on that, even if it is in the cartoon and they at least meet or are aware of each other. But to me, Omega could make it into Mandoverse timeline, so on and so forth. The Clone Force 99, sadly, I think they need to sacrifice in a good way, hopefully like a textile way if he's truly dead. But I'm thinking they're gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a way that they get out of it. And like if they keep doing that with Star, I mean, like we've always talked about, like people don't die in this series. Like if they keep doing that and they keep like introducing characters and then just saying like, oh yeah, well they ride off into the sunset. You don't know where they are in the OT. You don't know where they are in this timeline. They're just all out there. Then it starts to like when you introduce characters, it starts to just be like, well, nothing's going to happen to them.
It gets weird because we do have established canon with clones up towards the original trilogy thanks to Rebels, and it was just fucking Rex, Wolf, and Gregor, and they all looked half dead. They're all fat and old. So if we had other clones make it that we knew about as fans, why aren't they there? Why didn't they retire with them? Why aren't they getting involved in the rebellion when clearly Rex is one of the first people to start rebelling against the Empire? Why isn't Echo there with them? So yes, I do think they sadly all have to go.
Yeah, and it's a symptom of people getting attached to characters, because it's like when you get attached to a character, even as a creator, like when you create a character, you don't want to kill them because you've put so much time and love and effort and like in story building into like building this fleshed out person. It feels bad to like say, well, now they're dead and that's it. That is the end. And I think that like, I don't want to put this on Filoni because I think he's done a good job of like killing off characters when necessary, obviously with Kanan and others, maybe Tech.
I like how, dude, we have such like shell shock from Star Wars that we can't believe anything. Do you hear us? We have to qualify anytime we talk about a potentially dead character. We have to qualify it.
Maybe he's dead. Who knows? But like that's what happens is like that's why we were in the situation we're in with the fucking sequel trilogy, because like there was so much you put like into Palpatine. You put what 30 years of storytelling. Like think about it, like 87.
More than that, because I mean, that 30 years is just his reign as emperor. He was involved as Senator Palpatine before that. So,
yeah. Well, I was just talking about real world. So like 1977, he's planned until 2005. So a little bit like 28 years of like real world storytelling you put into building this character of Palpatine, and then you could tell that like Lucas. Is that like as much as people hate what happened with Palpatine, like Lucas was the one who like told, or at least from what we heard in stories. I'm
starting to think that shit because his script, Nick, was to have Maul and Talon as the dark side people.
Yeah, I mean, but again, like Maul is another example of that.
You are right.
Like Maul is another example.
You win
of
again,
somebody,
Nick. You're right.
Like this motherfucker was dead. Like this dude, if Maul is not dead, cut in half and literally thrown down a shaft that goes down thousands of feet. Like, come on.
You're right.
You know,
you're right.
Like,
no one dies. Everyone's alive. Darth Vader's still alive. I promise you.
Yeah, like it's a symptom of storytelling and being a storyteller
Ben Solo
that you don't want to kill your own
back.
Thing. So like Han Solo, he came back at the end of the third one. Like there's no fucking way that Han Solo has a Force ghost because he had no Force abilities. But that motherfucker showed up in episode 9.
Somehow his son could project him through the Force, as I believe was the explanation. Oh my god! All right.
Yeah, dude. It's.
Oh man, we don't have time to go into. I'm not going to go into it, but there are times where I just sit there and go, how in the fuck did they mess up the sequels? Like, how do you do that? How do you do that? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Boy.
Just like Luke Skywalker said, nobody's ever really gone. It's like, but sometimes people really need to be gone.
Yes, please.
Like, sometimes there is value in death.
Yes.
Like, as fucked up as that sounds, like there is value in death, because if nobody ever dies, then like, what is
Iron Man, Avengers Endgame?
Yeah, like
to this day, I've seen that movie 80 times. I just we did our family rewatch. That scene popped up again, and it fucking hit me the same way. I still got emotional because of that. That is the guy. That was the face of the MCU for 10 years, and he was the one to sacrifice. He earned his death like a motherfucker. And Nick's correct. I mean, you need that type of shit in storytelling, even if it's science fiction, comic book
even
genres.
if it fucking hurts.
Yes.
Even if it hurts as a writer and as a viewer, like it needs to happen.
So,
and I think that Star Wars has gotten into a very bad situation where like
you're right. It started with Darth Maul. I mean, Darth Maul really is the first fan favorite character that George is like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have killed him. I'm bringing him back. And I mean, like George started with the skirting of death shit in Empire. Because it's like, not even in Empire, in A New Hope, in episode 4. Because he's like, all right, well, Obi-Wan gets his fucking head chopped off, but like, guess what? He's still around. Yeah, he's always going to be around. For the win.
He's always going to be
Force
around.
goes. All right. So, hey, as we're talking about a bunch of characters that die and don't really die, our last top moment from Bad Batch Season 2, Tex earned supposed death, and that's how I typed it out.
Death.
Like, see, I have like, what do you call that? It's like I've been gaslit into thinking that no Star Wars character is ever truly dead. So, I mean, we've said enough about Tex's death. It was fantastic, completely earned, probably one of the second most powerful deaths in animated Star Wars behind Kanan's sacrifice, I'd say. It was right up there with that. So there you go. Bad Batch Season 2 to bed. It's been punched out. Next week we'll probably do something similar with The Mandalorian, and hell, we might even do top low moments of Mandalorian just to fill some showtime. You never know, because remember, next week we're coming in fresh. Whew. All right, Nick, it is time for episode 261's fan segment. We do it every episode. Those that know. We start with the question of the week. If you want to get involved, make sure on Tuesdays you head over to Instagram at Star Wars Time Show and look for our stories and in our post grid for the question. All you got to do is respond, and we may or may not pick your responses. We actually had a decent response this week, so I think, yes, I can't count for shit, Nick, so I'll go quickly with the story ones and let you go with the longer ones. But we did get some feedback, and I had to cut some really great ones for some fandos. Press Pause Photography had a fantastic dissertation, but that's exactly what it was. It was a dissertation. I was like, you know what? Nick would pass out because he wouldn't be able to catch his breath reading this, so we're going to cut that one. So here we go. Let's get the screens switched up, and we will start with the question of the week, which is naturally, what was your favorite or least favorite moment from the Mandalorian S3 finale? So let's get Slack up here and going. Where are you, Slack? Holy shit, it's too much stuff. Oh boy. All right. Sorry, there we go. Okay. Well, no, we didn't. Oh my God, I hate myself. Just bear with me, people. We're having a good time.
We're getting there.
We'll get there at some point. Hey! I hit enough buttons and it worked. All right, so here we go. I'll read the first responses coming from the story. We got our boy Rippick Tan checking in. R5 having his Little Cops episode in the Armor's Hammer Flight fight. Yes, we agree. Moving on. I think this is Dr. Awesome. Loved the Grogu flame deflection scene. Really felt magical. Wasn't a huge fan of how rushed the final fight and Gideon's death felt, though. He was a fantastic villain. We agree.
He'll still be around.
We agree, Doc Awesome.
Nobody ever dies.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We just laid it out there. He's definitely coming back in season 4. Take it to the bank. Just not the bank. We told you to take all of our predictions for the season 3 finale last week. That bank has now been defunded because how many misses we had. All right, Nick, go ahead. Drew Originals.
Drew Original says the visuals of the Mandalorians flying in and clashing with the Super Commandos' Siege of Mandalore was pretty awesome. The messaging and execution of 3, Mando, Bo, and Grogu working together in unison to defeat Gideon was positive, in my opinion. Yeah,
I like. Is that like a new way to say tubular or cool or rad? You just say that was positive.
That was positive.
I kind of dig that, to be honest with you. Like, positive. Nick, you positive, man? You feeling positive today? I mean, it kind of works,
Sometimes
right?
That's all you got to feel is just positive. You don't have to feel excellent. It's like, I feel positive.
There you go. I like it. You're either a 1 or a 0. You're either charged or not charged. I'm digging it. All right, moving on to the next one. Bango 31.
He says, I've given a week to marinate and I'm still just kind of blah about it. Not bad, not great. I do like they wrapped up the season storyline and they have a clean slate going forward. I guess I'm a victim of my own expectations because I thought the Gideon stuff would be a bigger payoff, but it is what it is. Definitely not souring on the series, and I'm looking forward to what comes next.
Sounds like we got another woke Star Wars fan, huh? They're enlightened. They Bango knows what he's talking about. All right, good job, Bango.
Yeah, I mean, not every episode needs to be the best episode ever. So.
And it also means if you didn't love an episode, that Star Wars is dead. Okay,
hey,
we let's get past that too.
there's more coming. So,
Johnny boy,
our good friend Johnny Osage says, "Oh man, where to begin? The episode that should have been called Live." LOL.
Yeah,
it was great that no major character died and that the Mandalorians have learned to play well together. But did they get new jetpacks? They had Right Bros models when saving Ragnar, and in this episode, they were all mavericked out. I mean, that's a good call.
Yeah. You know what? I think I know what he's talking about because I saw this too, and it is a good point. So, Nick, you go back to the episode where Ragnar gets stolen. What happens? They all run out of gas, right? In this episode, Axe fucking Woves flies from the surface, under the surface, like underground, all the way into space.
Into space. Maybe they got upgrade. Maybe like the bunker Mandos got upgraded jetpacks from the other Mandos since they were like mercenaried out and had big fat paychecks.
Yeah, then they're all flying across the entire planet as one, flying around. So yeah, I think that's what Johnny's getting at, and I like it.
Maybe Johnny, they just didn't gas up because they weren't expecting. Yeah, like they weren't expecting Ragnar to get kidnapped by a bird.
I'm just envisioning a Right Bros jetpack. Like it's just got, bamboo and some flaps on. like in that Da Vinci's flying machine. Like that's what it is. That's what I have in my head right now. They're like, come on, man, we got to go save Ragnar. Good man, Johnny. I like that one.
Good stuff. And Johnny goes on to say Mando dogfights, Gideon clones, adoptions, and a new Marshal. Bravo! The little fade out at the end was an homage to a Marvel movie, right? And who can forget the stinger after the credits? Wow, can't wait. Johnny? Watch yourself.
I like Johnny's sense of humor. All right.
Johnny's the new Brendan Wayne over here.
The episode should have been called Liars. Okay, up next, our boy Scion XTC.
Scion says, I would be lying if I didn't say I was disappointed that we didn't see anyone ride the mythosaur in the finale.
Grogu woke it up.
Maybe it was for the best. Yeah, I mean, he opened his eyes, or it opened his eyes, whatever. Too much of a copy-paste from Boba Fett finale.
Decent point.
Regardless, I thought the finale was action-packed, fun, and ended as could be expected with a cliffhanger.
I don't know about that.
I was going to say, did we miss something? Maybe we'll see stories from the canceled Rangers of New Republic show up.
That's definitely happening. I mean, that's kind of how we started our breakdown. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, it's like, what? Am I missing a cliffhanger?
I guess just wondering what the hell they're going to do now that everything's been resolved.
Yeah, I was saying, is it like... Because I'm 95% sure that I fast forwarded that episode all the way until the foreign credits ended and there was nothing. Yeah. I mean, maybe he thinks that the cliffhanger is just Boba, or not Boba, Din and Grogu.
From what I read, Nick, this is what he's talking about, but I did see on Reddit that apparently if you had closed captions on, there was like some sort of like glitchy thing that seemed like a stinger, but I don't know. I'm like you. I was click, and I didn't see dick shit unless it was like 2 frames.
Yeah, no, maybe. Maybe when I was fast forwarding,
it probably doesn't matter anyways. Ahsoka will fill us in, get us ready for season 4. Who gives a shit?
Mr. Muppa, not a fan. Mr. Muppa 06 says, I've forgotten it already. That's how much of an impact it had in me. As Dooku said, surely you can do
Muppa not
better.
A fan. That's okay. That's their choice.
That's okay. And then Following Jesus for Life says when it ended. So he was sad when it ended, which I assume means that he enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, is that their least favorite part or most favorite part? You never know from Star Wars fans, dude.
He put a spy face emoji at the end. So I assume that was his least favorite part, is when it ended. So his favorite part was when it was not ended.
Okay. Right.
When it was still playing. So it seems like he enjoyed it.
Keep on following Jesus, my man.
Yeah. So thank you all for the responses.
Now
That brings us.
tap my head and rub my belly to see if I can get the right scenes to pop up now.
see if the button combination works.
But yeah, go ahead. Kick us in the top 5 while I'm hitting buttons. Have at it.
Yes, that will move us into our top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. If you want to get involved with this little segment that we have, make sure to add tag on your Instagram post. Add tag at Star Wars Time Show. That's how you get on the radar. Use the hashtag Star Wars Time Show too. We're over 150,000 uses of the hashtag Star Wars Time Show. Good stuff. So add tag at Star Wars Time Show. Hashtag Star Wars Time Show. Do that and we can see your things. And you will get on Matt's radar. When you get on Matt's radar, he may feature you, and once you're featured by Matt, I will decide if you are worthy for a spot in the top 5 for the week. So we will kick off this week's top 5 with @wretched.hive. And this is like a pseudo scene recreation of what we were seeing on Navarro. The Mandalorians retaking Navarro town square from the pirate bandits. And yeah, I mean, it's just a really awesome looking action shot. You see Mandos of many different persuasions on the ground
tons of custom figures. Troops. I mean, that's what stood out to me. I mean, Nick, none of these are shits you would buy in a store. No, and there's not a single figure here that you would get in the store. So I mean that's impressive to start, but I love the setup. The poses are great, and as you said, it does feel like a still from the Navarro pirate battle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So beautiful stuff here at Wretched.
I can't tell. Are these the little boys or are these 112? I guess it doesn't matter, but it's kick-ass looking shot.
Yeah, I mean looks sick no matter what. Next up, and we're gonna have a lot of bucket heads here because obviously everybody in The Mandalorian is wearing buckets during the fights. So this one is another scene recreation. I thought it was a really cool idea to recreate this. And what we see is Bo-Katan pulling Din up from the living waters when he just rocketed to the bottom of the fucking pool like a stone. And what's really cool is this is from @TheOldToyPick. And what @TheOldToyPick did was he added some bubble effects. He added some like blur to make it seem like they're actually rising up from water. They got their little helmet lights on still. Yeah, the helmet flashlights are on and everything. I mean, I thought that this was a super creative shot from the old toy pick. I don't think I've seen anybody try to recreate this one yet. So I thought it was a really awesome job pulling off what was probably a pretty difficult shot to
anyone else notice that the armor had no problem standing in the living waters without sinking to the bottom?
Yeah, I know. It's like, is there just like a really hard fall off?
Watch out for that last step. It's a doozy. Yeah.
It's like you can walk maybe 3 feet in, but after that you really got to stop because it goes down fast.
She was in it, man. She's in there blessing motherfuckers, but she seemed steady footed compared to our boy Jaren. Yeah,
maybe they went in and they put a little fence right at that.
He gave him a heads up. He's like, yo, that first step will fuck you up. Watch out, armor. She's like, all right, thank you, Din. Now get the fuck out of here because you can't be with us when you have what's Din Grogu now called? An apprentice, right?
He is an apprentice. He is no longer a
She didn't kick him out, but it seems like once you have an apprentice, you have to go out and learn the ways of the Mandalorian life, right? Is that?
I also like how easy the Mandalorian adoption process is.
Hey,
where he's like,
I want to be his dad. Okay, good.
It's like, done.
Fuck it. You're right. She's like, well, we must ask his parents if he could be, just ranked up because he can't talk, but they're probably long gone. And who gives a shit? And Din's like, okay, well, we can fix that. I'll be his dad. And she's like,
I'll be his dad.
Okay, yeah, fuck it. This is the way. You're good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, wouldn't that be hilarious? Nick and Taylor, they're bored on one day. They're like, you know what? Let's go down the adoption agency. I want to adopt you. you, fuck you, and you. And they just they load you up with babies and off you go.
Yeah. It's literally less of a process than adopting a dog. It's literally like, I want that one. Okay, you got it.
Yeah,
Leave.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, we don't have to check if Grogu has parents or not. If Din said, I want to adopt him, that's all that matters. They're like, all right, this is the way. Yeah. You are now father and son. You gotta love to watch, man. They got some crazy rules, but they definitely keep life moving fast. They don't bog you down in red tape.
Good shit. All right, next up in the top 5, this is at
fucking gem.
Eye of Uatu. Eye of Uatu is a big account. We've been following him for a long time on the Star Wars Time Show. Has some top quality stuff, and this is what it is: a top quality shot from a top quality photographer. And what we see is Din, Bo, and the other Din. Din
That's right.
Grogu.
The Dins. Din squared.
Yeah, the Dins. The Din boys.
The Din boys. That's what Bo will say when she sees the ship come. The Din boys are coming in.
The Din boys are here. All flying through the air in their jetpacks. Obviously, Grogu does not have one, so he's in the arms of his newly minted father. And they're blowing up fucking TIE fighters. They're not fighting like super commandos. They're fighting full ass TIE fighters. You see explosions happening behind them firing off blaster shots all in all directions. They're surrounded by Imperial TIE fighter blaster bolts flying around them. Wow. Just a very dynamic and also like a very like vivid, bright, colorful shot.
And these are all the Barbies. So like these are the big boys, which is even more impressive if you're someone that has owned 112, 16, 118, whatever you want to call it. While the bigger figures look 10 times better than the smaller ones, they're usually 10 times harder to pose because of all their actual clothing and armor and plastic here, plastic there. I can tell you Bo-Katan barely even moves. So the fact that Tom got this dynamic of a pose with these two and we're able to prop them up to look like they were flying. I mean, I'm not sure if he used one of their wired stands or whatnot, but it's just a kick-ass shot. I mean, it just screams fucking Mandalorians and buy Hot Toys. That's the other thing. It's like, yes, this is why you buy Hot Toys. I wish I could display my Hot Toys just like this.
Oh yeah, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. It does. If you are of the toy collecting persuasion, it does make that $500 in your pocket feel like it's getting pulled out a little bit.
I will say, as much as it sucks to move toys once you set them all up in glass shelves, Nick, I'm not gonna. When I was taking them each out and kind of looking at them and appreciating them, I was like, you know what? As much as an asshole I feel like for spending many thousands of dollars on these things, they really are fucking works of art. They really are. I mean, they genuinely make me smile when I'm holding them. Now, that's when I'm holding them. When I look at it in the case, I go, that could have been my daughter's college, or at least the first year of it, or that could have been my beach house. So whatever. I still love them. But hey, I got the intern. The intern has taken the plunge, and I didn't force it upon him. He asked me about the Return of the Jedi Darth Vader they're releasing, and I said, this is where I get mine, but I'm not going to push you over that edge because I did that to you with Funko, and you still have that problem. But the intern, once he gets his ROTJ Vader hot toy, I think he's fucked. He's fucked. It's over for him. I even think you know, someone that never collected, like if someone gave you one or two, I have a feeling that the itch would almost compel you to at least look at Sideshow's site.
Maybe one day, but not this day.
Yeah, no, he's like, fuck you, dude. I'm moving into a new house.
Yeah. I got enough.
Fuck your toys. Okay, that Eye of Uatu.
Right. Indeed, Eye of Uatu. Give him a follow. Next up is a very clean shot here from @snapshots SHOTZ .photography. I believe this is the first time top 5 for Mr. Snapshots. I mean, but this is a super clean shot of Din Djarin, not Din Grogu, blasting off his
Din 1 and Din 2, and then
Din 1 and
Din
2.
Son,
Tweedly Din and Tweedly Dum. But we got Din over here firing off his wrist-mounted flamethrower. And what, like, to me, like what really like makes the shot, one, the lighting, like getting that like visceral firelight to reflect off of his armor,
that's it
and
right
two,
there.
like the way that those flames kind of curl around the frame of the shot. I mean, just awesome. It's just like a really awesome up close shot that uses the flame so well. Really eye catching, really strong stuff.
And the best part is, Nick,
stuff.
this is 112. Like that's not a hot toy. So anytime you can get an up close portrait like that on the 112s, and they do look like a hot toy, you have done your job well.
Oh yeah, I mean this is if you wouldn't have told me, I would have assumed that this.
Yeah,
was like
I can just tell.
Toy.
Like there, you can see there's plastic on the chest where there should be cloth and whatnot. So this is either the Mafex or the Figure Arts, but it's still just a 6-inch figure that looks like a hot toy.
There you go, beautiful stuff at snapshots.photography on Instagram. And the last up in the top 5 this week, I hate to keep doing it, but the guy,
you have to though. You have to.
You got to. He's a killer. So at Brick Panda 82 with the truly incredible Lego scene recreation from the finale of Mandalorian season 3, where Din Djarin is fighting the two.
He's doing his breakdance against the Praetorians.
Yeah, the 2 Praetorian guards, and I mean, like the position that he got Din in as a Lego figure, he had to have ripped the leg off of this thing and pasted it back on in some weird way.
I don't know how they do that stuff. I think it is like some sticky tack and as you said, ripping your figure apart.
Yeah, and like even getting like the vibro effect on the knife that Din is holding, plus the electric.
Oh shit! I didn't even see the vibro blade. Good call. Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
look at that.
Like just like the posing, the effects, the lighting, like Brick Panda knocked this shit out of the park. And I would like, this makes you want to see like, hey, can we like run back the whole Mando S3 finale with just Lego?
Well,
like, can we do like a Lego
sad to
movie
report,
version?
Nick, that Brick Panda is transitioning away from Star Wars shots for the time being, and this happens. Like Brick Panda 82. If you follow this account, they're fantastic, especially if you like Legos and in pop culture franchises. But it seems like they get on runs and they will stick to a line and shoot that line for a month or two and then just move on to the next one. So sadly,
hopefully Ahsoka reinvigorates him when it comes back around.
But I know Nick has included him. I feature every fucking shot he puts up. I think Nick's thrown him in the top 5 this latest spell of Brick Panda being Star Wars active probably every time. But don't worry, a spot will be opening back up after this week because Brick Panda is moving away from Star Wars shots at this time.
Yeah, but hey, I'm glad we got his last one in the top 5 because it was another killer.
I would buy a book from this person. If they had like a 400-page glossy, large coffee table book of just their Lego photography, sign me up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. So at Brick Panda 82, thank you for all of your amazing Star Wars work. We eagerly anticipate your return to the form, hopefully when Ahsoka comes out around August. So that's the end of the top 5. That's the end of our show for this week. Matt, why don't you close us on out?
All right, my friends, as always, we appreciate your time here in the live stream. Make sure to bring some other people. I know we've had a few casualties due to the time change. Maybe we can get them back. Listen, there's like 900 toy photography podcasts now. There's only one Star Wars time show. Let's do it. There's always time for Star Wars time, right, my friends? So don't screw around. Let's do it. StarWarsTime.net. That's your best place to go in between shows to see, hey, are these lazy asses working on any new content? What are they thinking about this new Star Wars thing? You can always get those reactions first and foremost over at StarWarsTime.net, or if you're into the moving pictures type of stuff, YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. If you like handles, just add Star Wars Time Show on YouTube as well. But over on StarWarsTime.net, that's where you can also sub to all the various podcasts we belong to. You know, we still have decent numbers over there, but they could always be better. You know that. You know me. It's never enough. I'm like Julia Roberts, Tinkerbell, and Hook. You know, I need those. I need to feel special. I need to feel loved, to feel like I'm a worthwhile human on this planet. So as always, we appreciate your time. We really do. If you want to, if you like to talk, I've become a fan of the Discord in between shows. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of like our own little forum where I know I'm going to get in there and I'll be able to spit some ideas and get other ideas from people too. So don't forget, Star Wars Time Show. There's always time for Star Wars Time. StarWarsTime.net. Hit it up. Everything you need is right there on that site. Or just go to Instagram, look in our link bio. You can get all the goods from there too. All right, my friends, it's going to be an interesting week next week. I can tell you we will still have some Mandalorian Season 3 content to go, but we're going to be getting back to the Wild West days of the SWTS, where we just got to riff on whatever nonsense is out there for the Star Wars franchise. All right, we're going to leave you as we always do. If you listen to the Star Wars Time Show, the Force will be with you always.